Boom! Welcome everyone to a different place. I'm using another webcam, but welcome everyone. How's it going? Welcome to FrameCast 59. Hope you guys are doing well. Last week we did not have a FrameCast because of reasons, but now we have one that's a little bit earlier, but we have a bunch of really cool topics for you. First up, Drew, how's it going? How are you doing this week?
I'm alive.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I was really concerned for a second. Wasn't entirely sure. No, I've been good. Working hard on various content creative things. Trying to remember how words work, not only during this but during a script. So aside from that, yeah, all good.
Does that mean a new Xeno Codex is coming up?
Yep, a new Xeno Codex is coming up.
Oh, hell yeah. Nice.
I'm questioning why my webcam looks like trash. Do I have something turned on that I shouldn't? Nope, nothing's turned on. My internet's just trash. Never mind.
Okay, well, anyway, let's go over the topics that we have for today because we have a lot to talk about today. There's a lot of really cool topics. There's also a lot of like really interesting comments from like the last FrameCast, which was 2 weeks ago. A lot has happened, so like let's just jump into the topics that we have for today. I see that like you also threw in a topic which was one of my subtopics, which I'm super excited to talk about. But let's go first in. Twitch is threatening with DMCA bans, which leads to Twitch streamers deleting years worth of their content. That's followed up by probably we're going to be doing Stadia. Montreal's creative director said bad things, especially about Twitch streaming. And Google is trying to pretend that they don't know him. That is one hell of a right that I'm excited to get into. Also, we have Among Us updates the game in order to prevent hacking. We have the digital topic is Big Brother Sony to listen in and ban bad speak on their PlayStation platform. And do we have one more? Oh yeah, Crucible, Marvel's Avengers.
Crucible. It's supposed to be like Crucible and Marvel's Avengers. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, well, you know, we'll figure out how to tackle that when we get to that because we're a little bit short on time. We have a deadline at the end of this FrameCast. I think it's like 1 hour and 35 minutes that we still have to go.
So something like we're fine. Okay, don't worry about it. We're fine.
All right, sweet. So let's then first get into what have you played this week.
Last 2 weeks, I thought I nearly spilt my drink. So I've been playing World of Warcraft again. Got back into that, kind of anticipating Shadowlands. There was plenty of the current World of Warcraft expansion I didn't like, but you know when they released the thing, I think 2 weeks ago. Yes, because I asked you if we could do the last one on a Monday in preparation for so playing lots of World of Warcraft. Playing a little bit of Warframe here and there. Plenty of Xeno Alice on my mobile. So for everyone's benefit, like I ended up buying a stand for my phone, right? So I could have my phone next to me while I'm doing my job. So I got my keyboard in front of me and I got my phone next to me. And I got like a USB-C. Nope, wrong way. That way. Yeah, USB-C cable as well, so I can keep my phone charged. Just so I can just like tap buttons occasionally on my phone to play the game.
I see you're building out. I see you're building out your mobile gaming setup.
Yeah, clearly.
When is going to be the time that you're going to add one of those like magnifying glasses in front of it and like these extra speakers that they used to have like in the Game Boy days where you could like make these crazy constructions?
That's a freaking throwback and a half. Wow, I completely forgot about those magnifying glasses.
Yeah, it looks so ridiculous. But like if you had it, well, you were like kind of like the thing sort of thing, the big boy.
Can you just imagine that for the Switch?
Oh my God.
That'd be just freaking massive. It's just like,
I wonder if someone has made those. I have seen a video at some point where someone like split up like GameCube controller and then like put the Switch controllers into like the GameCube controller husks and then like basically you slid on like one half of a GameCube controller and the other half on the Switch, which actually looked pretty cool. But like I don't know how well that works.
I'd love something like that. Because like the problem for me is I have like gigantor hands. Like you can only really tell when you put someone else's hand next to mine. Like my hand like typically dwarfs theirs. It's just like,
Put it up.
Yeah.
Look at that! Look at how much bigger Xeno's hand is.
But yeah, what have you been playing? What have you been playing?
A lot of it Genshin actually. Genshin Impact has been like pretty fun. I've been playing it past like I think 2-3 days ago. I got past adventuring like 16, 18, whatever you need to like get into like multiplayer. 16, which was so incredibly, insanely underwhelming multiplayer.
Okay, so I wasn't the only one that felt that then.
But like, okay, so the thing which I really like about Genshin, and there's like two things which I don't like, but let's first get into the thing which I really like is like the world situation is really, really cool. Like everything is kind of like at walking distance, but there's a lot of teleport points, so you have this like beautiful, colorful, open world sort of thing, like where you have cities and you can go to the cities. There's like everywhere something's going on. Like it feels like you're out there. There's a world to explore, but it's also not like tedious. And like I've played like games like Red Dead Redemption where you're just like running, and then you get to a point it's like, oh my god, am I there yet? And here I don't feel it. It's like everywhere things are there to do. Like you're overwhelmed. You can do things any time of day like that. And then you also have like this kind of like narrative which takes you along somewhere, and you have all these like heroes and like waifus and things you can collect, and they all look good, and it's like it's so fun. Like that's doing good. But then like it's said to be like a co-op multiplayer game, so I was like, okay, you have to get to like adventuring 16, like you have to rank up to level 16 sort of thing with your like entire account to be able to do co-op. And I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna get there, and then on stream we can play together, because like you have like a team of 4. You can schedule 4 characters, and then if you have like 4 people, then everyone has like 1 character. It's like, dude, we can go do quests, we can go do like progress for the story with each other. It's like that would be so cool. And that's just not possible. Like if you're joined together with multiplayer, you can like farm ship sort of thing, but you can't open chests in someone else's world. And it's just like, it's so weird. It's like I wanna go and play my quests and progress with my friends. It's not possible. I don't know why. It's so weird.
I completely 100% agree. I thought it was really weird that I want to try more Genshin Impact, but a part of me is tempted to say I'm going to wait till it gets like a serious like milestone update, because like you, I dislike how underdeveloped the name of the thing, the multiplayer is, the co-op is, and I also dislike how like I question the value of the leveling system in the entirety of Genshin Impact. It's like, what's the legitimate point of the leveling system? It doesn't make any form of sense to me whatsoever. And personally, I would like to see like stark improvements, because like I haven't hit anything that's a particular challenge, and I'm like, how long do I have to play before anyway.
Well, so like right now I'm at a point where I'm about to like fight the dragon sort of thing. That's kind of where we left off. So far, like I am quite okay with like the amount of challenge it has thrown at me. Then like because like I'm still progressing, it hasn't really thrown up a wall yet. But I have heard that once you get to adventure rank 30, like it's getting incredibly harder to like rank up and get things. I haven't gone there yet, but I have people say that. I've heard people say that. And oh, thank you. What else? Like so far, only 2 regions seem to have been unlocked, because we have like the 7, and like we only have Wind and Geo. I've discovered, and I think there needs to be more. But I'm really curious as like what the gameplay loop is, especially when it comes to like playing co-op. Like I was really expecting that like once you got into multiplayer, like you would be able to just like progress with your friends, and then like there would be some sort of gameplay loop, like, oh, you have the 4 daily challenges, and you have these things and these things. You can just like do that with your friends. But like that doesn't seem to be. I really don't know. Some people have said that there's like some sort of raids or some sort of things that you can do at the end. I have not gotten there yet, but it takes such a long time where I feel that like it's almost like this game doesn't want you to play this with your friends. It just wants you to play it by yourself, and just like happen to like, oh, sometimes you might happen to like hop in somewhere with random people, but these random people, it's not the co-op. It's not really meant to be played with friends, but it's more meant to be played with like random people, and like that saddens me because other than that, like it's really interesting. It's like a free to play, like exploring world, like life service thing where like the monetization, like seriously, I really like the way the monetization is done in the sense it's not as like intrusive as other gacha games were. It's way better than I thought it was. So yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do going forward, but yeah, I kind of missed the co-op part because like it would have been great if we could just like go for these planes, go for this world with like 4 people and be like, hell yeah, I want to play with Sofa Fox. Yeah, I want to play with Emil. Hell yeah, I want to play with like Omega Weapon. I want to play with you, and we're gonna go and do things, but we can't, and that kind of yeah
bums you out. Like, I totally get where you're coming from, and to me, I would compare it to something like you're playing Warframe. And all you can do is go fishing. That's it. You can't do any missions. You can't do anything else. All you can do is fish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, just why?
And then there's another big question which I have, which kind of concerns what is it? Genshin. And that's that like when we start out, we have this amazing scene of like our main character that's like saying to Paimon like what's been happening to them, and they have a voice actor and like they're saying shit, and it's like, oh my god, that is so well. And I can only imagine this voice actor of like this main character like just coming up to their family being like, I've been chosen for like the voice actor of like the main protagonist of like this game. It's like, what game is it? It's like, it's Genshin Impact. It's like, what's Genshin Impact? It's like, well, it's gonna be this big game, it's gonna take over the entire world sort of thing. It's like, oh, you're the main character sort of thing? Yeah, it's doing really, really well right now. So what are your lines? It's like, well, I got like 2 lines at the start and then I just make some like noises in between, but there's like no lines after all. It's like, from like the start, he doesn't say anything. And he's silent protagonist. So like, why? Why, if this is this character that's like fleshed as a character itself, why does it have like, even when they've shown that he has voice lines, why does he never speak anymore? Like, I really don't get that. It's so weird.
So, which character are you talking about? Your player character?
Yeah, your player character.
Your player character has voice lines?
Yeah, well, right at the start when you like when you start the game, like I don't know, did you go with like which
cutscene?
Yeah, which one did you go with?
The girl.
Okay, I went with a boy. Maybe they have like different ones, but like the boy, when you like when like he gets teleported away sort of thing, then like when he meets Paimon, it's like
Paimon.
it's like, yeah, so then I lost my sister. So like he reads out. He actually has voice lines. Like they actually give him a voice, and then he's silent protagonist after
weird.
that. And I'm like, why? If I know like right now, Paimon is kind of like it's kind of like the drone thing from Destiny, kind of like speaking things for you. And I'm like, well, you could do that, but like, why do we have to go?
I do love Paimon. I do absolutely love Paimon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she gives so much sass. She's like, oh, when I think it's Amber says, oh, you need to get a glider license. It's like, really? Because we've been flying around for ages. And I love how sassy Paimon is.
Do you like how do you feel about like the overall like pitch of like the voices of like most of the characters? Because I feel like they're super high pitched sort of thing.
I don't care for any of them apart from Paimon. Paimon's the best. No one else matters. I don't even remember anyone else apart from Paimon. Yeah.
Also, Gredok asks, can't you switch your player later on? You can, but every single time you enter into like a story part where like there's actually spoken voice lines by Paimon instead of you, like you instantly change back to like your original character. So like it's not even like, oh, you can switch characters and therefore another character will appear in the cutscene. It's like, no, always your character appears in that cutscene. And why is it like you give this character like 2 fully voiced voice lines and he never speaks again? It's so weird. But yeah, that was kind of like my one thing with Genshin, which is kind of.
But Paimon's emergency food.
Oh my god! I actually like what was that voice like? Well, what was that choice where you could just like tell someone to like dig in?
For the last time, Paimon's not food.
Yeah. Anyway, you should hear the Japanese voice. Actually, have you tried changing the languages? The languages of the spoken. No. You actually can. But anyway, I think that's as far as we have for what have you played. By the way, if it feels a little bit weird, if you're wondering why I'm sitting here, it's because like I had to rush this. I'm kind of getting used to like having my topics here, so I'm looking all around the place, hoping that it goes all right. Anyway, I think that's time to go into community comeback or the YouTube comments, whatever we call this. We actually have had some really, really cool comments from the last FrameCast about 2 weeks ago, so I kind of want to go for them. So first of them, we've had Edward Paddock say, "Great episode. I'd rather have the new PlayStation," which actually I think has been like the embargo has been released. So there's been like a lot of reviews coming out today of that, or like unboxings. So yeah, hell yeah, dude, on the PlayStation side of things. And then we had Trex with a comment about my impromptu segment of things I hate and like the my first vlogger kid. And Trex kind of said. That kids want to be vloggers is no longer far-fetched than kids want to be movie stars or pro athletes, rock stars, or whatever. Any and all of these like aspirations can put children in jeopardy from like a creative evil predator. And even when like Beethoven was alive, his music was considered to be inappropriate for the young. So basically, like over time, every generation has this thing where it's like, oh, it's a danger to the kids. So he says that like the feeling that young children need to be protected from new things is all humanity just saying. So like basically, this my first vlogger kid is no different than anything else that we have discovered so far or that we've seen so far in history. How do you feel about that, Drew?
I do agree, but at the same time, kids are young and impressionable. Take into consideration things like the Paul brothers, or I think the most indicative thing of that was when I want to say Logan Paul did the whole murder clown thing where Logan Paul and his girlfriend were held for ransom, and they're like, and kids genuinely believe that these murder clowns were trying to kill.
Yeah.
Was it Jake Paul? I don't know which Paul it was.
I actually think it was Jake Paul. I know Nerd City made a video about that, and basically like the entire setup is like around a Halloween, I believe. One of these brothers made like on their channel entire like fake storyline of like murder clowns taking them away. They changed the channel to like this is dead sort of thing, or they're gonna be killed. There's a countdown timer for when they're gonna be killed. I don't know the details, so some of that could be wrong. And then you literally had like children making YouTube videos saying like, please don't kill them, someone like step in, like please like someone save them. And it was like,
donate lots of money so that they can live,
buy the merch.
Yeah.
No, yeah, like that was a really terrible thing. I personally like rather agree with what Trek says, and like yeah, like there has been many things, and there are many things which can put you in jeopardy, sort of thing. And people have many dreams and wishes, sort of thing. So I can see that even though people want to say that YouTube is this brand new thing, it's still like sort of the same thing. That being said, what I do believe when it comes to like YouTube, and especially like my first vlogger kid, is my first criticism of it was that it's like way too much focus on like the rock star kind of idea and not on like what the actual thing is. So if you want to be like a movie star, or if you want to be like a pro athlete, like the focus of becoming a pro athlete is like training really hard and being really good at the sport. So if you want to do that, you go ahead and like you train really hard, and you practice the sports, and like the chances are you won't become a pro athlete, but in the meantime you'll learn the sport, like you'll play the sport with like your friends, and like you have fun with that. And like same with acting, like if you want to be a movie star, like you're gonna go out and you're gonna go acting, sort of thing. And you can take acting classes, and like you can meet friends along the way, and you can go and do that. If you want to become a vlogger, like the thing that I have here is that it's so focused on like, look at this Logan Paul or Paul brother image of like buying a Lamborghini, or like smashing this thing, or like breaking this thing. There's so many videos of like little kids making diss tracks where they like break something because it looks cool. If I stand in the car, it looks cool. Or if I do a dumb stupid prank on the streets, that will look cool. And it's like, there is no, it's not like you go to a sports club to like become better at it. It's not like you go to an acting class to become better at it. It's literally like, let me pick up a camera and not like try to get better at making videos, and not like work at editing, sort of thing. Like not learn that, but just like imitate this dumb shit which I see online, which can be really dangerous because a lot of it is fake that they see online, but they're going to imitate that. And not only are they going to imitate that, they're going to put it online. It's going to stay online for the rest of their lives. And like, I know, like, yeah, basically everything is like right now online for the rest of their lives. But like, if you take up an acting class, or if you take up like music, or if you take up sports, like most of the time that doesn't involve like doing dumb, stupid shit online and posting that there. Because most of that will be done in the club, sort of thing.
I think the big thing to me is the fact that it's trying to commercialize on kids' wants and desires.
Mhm.
So kids will, I could be a vlogger just like PewDiePie. And wait, is he a vlogger? I don't know.
PewDiePie, the #1 vlogger, and like Casey and I sat the everyday gamer channel.
Anyway, doesn't matter. But the like kids will believe this. It's one of the things I actually have a huge issue with girls' toys that are out to groom girls to go clubbing. Right? I've seen loads of toys where it's like these Bratz dolls. It's like, oh, get the nightclub extreme Bratz dolls or whatever crap it is. And it's just like you are teaching young girls, you're grooming girls at a young age to make them think that the thing they should be doing is going out clubbing. And plenty of girls, plenty of girls of my generation, I remember, like, they'd start going clubbing at the age of like 14 and things like this. So it's just like, you're way too young. You know, you shouldn't be going clubbing for at least another 4 years.
That's crazy, dude. What the fuck? I'd never ever seen that. But yeah, dude, that is crazy. As the theme says, the problem is that they're selling fame instead of what a career is. Actually, that's very well worded. A college who tells an aspiring actor that they'll train them to be on the popular shows or to be famous is lying because the actor's teaching the student wants to be in movies as well. I actually think that you worded that very well. It's like, if it wouldn't be a My First Vlogger kit, but it would be like My First Video kit sort of thing, where it's like, hey, you know, you get a free or like you get a an editing software, and there's like a disc that will like teach you like how to do your first edits and like how do you shoot sort of thing. Like that would be way more on like, hey, how do I make my first video, and not like how do I become this super cool vlogger sort of thing, where because like that's only focused on like the fame aspect, and it's like if anyone could sell you that, then like they take that for themselves. So first of all, it's fake, and second of all, like it's just gonna like throw people in dangers. So but yeah. That was as far as I have on that topic. I don't know if you want to dive in deeper or...
Nope. Let's go through other comments.
Yeah. There is another comment right here from Efim, actually, who asks, first of all, Xeno, what do you drink?
Right now, I'm drinking Dr. Pepper Zero. Aside from that, I have Lucozade Wild Cherry, Fizzy No Added Sugar Vimto, Pepsi Max Cherry, Pepsi Max Ginger Beer, root beer. Fucking love the root beer. I lemonade. I drink pretty much fizzy drinks like all the time. I don't drink anything hot. Don't like it.
All right, so we'll like appoint you as like the council of the fizzy drinks then. Because I think the reason that they asked is because we've been asking around on stream, like, what do you guys drink? And do you belong to, like, the water gang, like a bunch of people? Or do you drink different things, like chocolate milk or tea was also part of it? I mean, like, tea is also, like, water sort of thing. But yeah. It's flavored water. Let's see. The second question was a little bit more elaborate. Which actually went on the topic of Genshin Impact. So we kind of returned to Genshin Impact. If you're not the biggest fan of Genshin Impact, and you're like, oh my god, they're talking about Genshin Impact all the time, don't worry about it. We have a bunch of topics. One of the topics that will be coming up that just impromptu flew in is that Cyberpunk is actually being delayed again. Don't know the details, but we're going to be getting into that soon. So if you're watching this live, stick around. Or if you're watching this like as a repeat sort of thing, just find the timestamp sort of thing. Anyway, on the topic of Genshin Impact has a somewhat intricate combat system. It has different layers of leveling, having both a leveling system where you use tomes, levels known as a phase, and an adventure ranked leveling system that levels as you do things. So like kind of like Warframe also has like their mastering system, and like you have like the ranks of like different items. Each weapon and artifact also has levels, which can be improved by using other artifacts. Thus, you must understand and analyze the statistics to know which level, and also they have the phase system, etc. Genshin also has the elemental system that contains certain combination tricks and weaknesses, which you must understand. It's also important to understand the cooking and eating processing system and the gilding system, or the gliding system. The quest system that exists out of 4 layers, the Adventurers Guild has different quests that sometimes a must to do to get to the next adventure rank, and with normal quests in the manual and events, and there's also open world activities and more shenanigans. So it sounds like a lot. However, when you're playing the game, it doesn't really feel that all that overwhelming and complicated, which I actually agree. Like, as I'm reading, it's like, well, there's a lot going on here. There's so much going on there that I was almost like, well, this is I'm kind of losing track here, but no, there's a lot going on here, but it doesn't really feel that complicated and overwhelming in the game. On the opposite side, though, if you think about Warframe and all of its intricacies, which requires 10 videos for people to understand every single bit of it, and has a very do this unknown thing a few times to do this other unknown thing to get this known thing sort of thing. And then you'll be on the way to getting what you want. So what they're kind of getting at is into Xeno's questioning of the longevity of the game due to the many things being locked behind a leveling system. Personally, they think that like this leveling system is actually a good thing because it allows the game to go at like a decent pace sort of thing instead of like throwing everything at you. Everything the player learns and experiences at the beginning in the beginning of the game is just that, the beginning of the game. Here's how you glide. Here's how you cook. This is an Adventurers Guild. This is the menu for the menu for these events and stuff like that. And then by the time that you reach Adventure rank 16 and you unlock multiplayer, you're ready to understand like the game properly enough to have like a proper non-confusing multiplayer experience. Whereas Warframe, on the other hand, there tends to be like a lot of stress involved, where it's like because you're just like dropped into like everything all at the same time. It's like, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I remember all of these things? So, whereas they feel that this little lock system for a beginner isn't as bad in Genshin, not to mention Genshin's elemental attacks, which makes more sense than Warframe's elemental attacks. But besides a comparison, in Terraria there also tends to be a lot of fear to begin exploring mining, etc. So it's not only like let's see. Whereas in Genshin, it feels to come more naturally. So like in Terraria, you have to like go out and like explore things. Whereas in Genshin, like you're kind of like egged on to like go on. It's a lot easier to go and like explore the system. So basically, out of all of this, what are your thoughts on this perspective? I'm not going to the end game or high end game loops since none of us have reached that point yet. So basically, like, how do you feel about like this argument for the kind of like locking things behind levels sort of thing in order to like ease the player more naturally into like their complicated game sort of thing rather than dropping them in?
Completely disagree. There's no complication with Genshin Impact. Like, I felt Genshin Impact was... Sorry, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Mm-hmm. Right? Just gonna point that one out. But I felt Genshin Impact was extremely slow. Oh, look, I can climb.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else? Yeah. Oh, I have to do 3 dungeons before I can actually get to... No, I know what a dungeon is. I've done 1. I don't need to do another 2. Yeah, like, I feel that Genshin Impact's system, it doesn't... I wouldn't say it holds your hand like Warframe's tutorial does. The Warframe's tutorial is really bad for holding your hand and then just letting go, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas with Genshin Impact, I feel like I have the training wheels on non-stop. Like, can someone please, for the love of God, take these goddamn training wheels off? I want to go faster. It takes so long to feel like you're making any progress in Genshin Impact. That might be a matter of perspective, but it takes so long to get anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Not physically, but just like in terms of
mechanic. like the progression of the story, where like I don't know, like I'm trying to see whether we're on the same page, sort of thing, where it's like if you go for like the main quest sort of thing, like you do one thing and then you have to like wait until you get to like 3 adventure ranks higher up because you gotta like take a look at this place, like explore this system, explore this shop sort of thing, where it's like, well, I kind of know what these things generally do. I kind of just want to like see the story. I just want to like see it through, and I want to get to further places. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yes and no. It's literally everything, right? Mm-hmm. So, I need to go collect random doodads to level up a statue, right? Where are these doodads? I don't have a fucking clue. Oh, there's one all the way up there, and you have to climb a fucking mountain to get it. Cool. I'll be back in half an hour. You know, you're trying to travel to the next area that you've not explored. like again, you're going really slowly. Personally, I'd much rather a mount system in Genshin Impact with teleportation only between like major areas than anything else. Right? I don't see why there needs to be teleportation points like freaking everywhere. It really detracts for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's yeah, no, I feel that the pacing on Genshin Impact is really slow.
I can see that. Like, part of me, like, for me, the different experience is a little bit different because I think like last weekend or something, like I had to wait a really long time on like my computer to do things. So I spent my day into like unlocking every single teleportation point in Genshin. So right now I can just like teleport everywhere, and like that makes for a rather like fast experience because I'm just like, oh, I can go there, I can go there, I can go there. But I can say that like if you have to go from one point to the other, especially like at some point you're gonna get like this thing where it's like, oh, meet this other person in this other city sort of thing. Go say hi to them, and you have to like traverse a really long place and just like running all by yourself. And yeah, that just takes a real long time. Let's see. Jen says, now that Xeno portrays a game like that, it sounds like the devs are pretty much guiding players like a senseless dog on a leash.
See, this is the difference, right? With it depends on which game you're talking about. If you're talking about Warframe, yes, right. The tutorial has like someone leading you on a leash. The difference with Genshin Impact is you're on training wheels, right? So you can do whatever you want. You're said, go over there, but you've got no threat of dying, right? You're on training wheels. Like, sometimes I'll just jump off a cliff to see if I'll die.
Yeah.
Yeah? You know, oh, look, I killed myself. I think that's actually the only way I've ever died is I've accidentally jumped off a cliff and, you know, not glided down. But, so that's the comparison. Whereas I remember one of the very first things Loz and I were doing in Warframe is we were fighting, and it was a different game back then because damage 1.0, no tutorial, everything, all that shit. Loz and I were fighting a heavy gunner, and we couldn't kill it. The heavy gunner that was like maybe level 2 utterly destroyed us.
Actually,
so
yeah, like I do very well remember when heavy gunners were like this big looming threat sort of thing.
Same with bombards and
yeah, dude, absolutely. Anyway, what do I want to say? Oh yeah, so like right now I think we only have like 2 of the 7 regions right now because we have wind and we have geo, and I think there's like 7 statues. So let's say that they might update the game with 5 more regions. Could these regions possibly be a lot harder, where like these are kind of like the 2 regions where you get started in, and then like the rest of the regions are like a lot harder? Like, I'm not saying that that should be an excuse for the game right now, because I think you should only judge the game as it is right now. But given also that like you're a more experienced gamer, just like I would say that I am, and I would think like most of our chat is, do you think that that might be like a conscious decision where like, okay, we're making the first 3 regions like not like really hard because like we're gonna have a lot of people playing this on mobile, we're gonna have a lot of people that are just like casually jumping into this, we want to like ease them into it, and then we have 5 more regions where things can be like harder?
That's entirely possible, but I don't know why they would make other regions harder if they're brand new, because you want players to come in on new content, don't you?
Yeah.
So oh god, how do I you know, it's like the new stuff in Warframe. The new stuff, this is something I've had a bugbear with. Like, when new open world content comes into Warframe, it's right near the start of the game. Granted, this one wasn't. Deimos wasn't on Mercury. It was on, sideline of
Mars.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have a junction, right? So you as soon as you have access to Mars, you can go straight to Deimos, right? I really hope that when Plains of Deviri, the Deviri Paradox, thank you, sorry. When the Deviri Paradox comes out, that they don't tie it to the first entry point into the void, which is Phobos, I hope that they do it to the second entry point, which I think is Europa, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Just to give players, like, you have to do more of the planets before you can get to the next open world.
I hope that
Yeah.
the furry paradox planes, the furry sort of thing, will be like this other plane of existence where like if you go to the map, you'll have like next to the play button, you'll have like a little key that you can click, and then you go into like this magical place. We could call it something like the Void 2, and that will be the furry where that will reside.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think
Topics?
I gotta take this mouse away. Their third question. Actually, we can save that for towards the end, because like we better move on to topics. So, first topic. I think that we should probably jump into this thing right now, like the topic that we were just thrown right now, right here. I don't know whether my media thing works, but let's see if it does. No, it does not. So that's unfortunate, but I'll read it out. So Cyberpunk just tweeted something a couple of like an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, that says, "Hey everyone, today we've decided to remove the release date of Cyberpunk 2077 by 21 days. The new release date is December 10th." Do you hear about this?
I'm so sad about this. I'm genuinely tearing up because like I fucking booked a holiday for this. Right? I built this PC to play fucking Cyberpunk. I built it in April, and I booked a holiday off to play Cyberpunk in November, and they've moved it. It's less than a month away, and fine, right? It's important that they get it right. But the thing that frustrates me, right, is the fact that I can't book any time off in December because my office shuts down for 2 weeks. So I'm not gonna... But the good thing is, I'll be down in Wales, right? So I'll have my big expensive PC with me down in Wales, visiting my folks for the entirety of December. So I'll be able to download it. Look at it. My dad will be like, "Drew, what are you doing to the internet? Shut up! Cyberpunk's out!"
Oh man. Like seriously, I was talking on stream like yesterday, I think, where it was like, well, the date that they've chosen is kind of like, I mean, it sucked that that it was delayed, because in April it was like the landscape was a lot more quiet with things going on.
Yeah.
I think that right now we have Genshin going on. I know that actually this is something I'll probably want to talk about next week, which is going to be God damn it, Ghost of Tsushima. That's the word. Ghost of Tsushima released a new update, which is like a multiplayer update, and kind of it's like as though like it's kind of like a live service, but without like the live servicey bits. So it's like there's like an entirely new content area we can like as multiplayers like create new classes and like fight enemies and like farm them sort of things. And I've seen SkillUp's review about it, and he says like literally like this is not even trying to be a live service, but it's doing it so much better than any of like the recent live services that have come out. And I'm like, dude, I want to try it out. So we're probably gonna be talking about that. But like, I mean, that's going on right now. Genshin. There's so many things that are happening at this time. In April, nothing was going on. That being said, though, we have the new consoles. I was like, well, I mean, like the new consoles are launching. AMD is launching their new graphics card, basically like RTX for the 3070 is launching in like 2 days. So like there's a lot of like hardware launches that this launches with right now, so that's perfect. And then they delay it, and it's like, oh my god. That being said, we did speak last week about or like the last episode, I think we talked about like how they expect a crunch to happen. So like hopefully this might be able to ease of like the insane stress with it. They're saying that most likely there are many emotions and questions in your heads. Well, as we just saw, there are many emotions. And first and foremost, please accept our humble apologies. The biggest challenge for us right now is that shipping the game on current gen, next gen, and PC at the same time, which requires us to prepare and test 9 versions of it while working from home. Since Cyberpunk 2077 evolved towards being an almost next-gen title somewhere along the way, we need to make sure everything works well and every version runs smoothly. We're aware that this might seem unrealistic when someone says that 21 days can make any difference in such a massive and complex game, but they really do. Some of you might be wondering what these words mean in light of us saying we achieved Gold Master some time ago. Passing certification or going Gold means the game is ready, can be completed, and has full content in it. But it doesn't mean that we will stop working on it to raise the quality bar. On the contrary, this is a time in which many improvements were made, which will then be distributed during the Day Zero patch. This is a time period we undercalculated. We feel we have an amazing game on our hands, and we're willing to make every decision, even the hardest ones, if it ultimately leads to you getting a video game that you will fall in love with.
Would.
Yep. So it's like, yeah, they still need more to do.
Yeah, like, if they genuinely think that 3 weeks or 20 days, 3 weeks is going to be enough, then fine, whatever, right? But like I've been messaging my work colleagues about it. They're all like, no. It is what it is.
It is.
Can't say anything.
Yeah, it's definitely what it is. Jen says, honestly, I see no problem with it because I can get a little more time to finish that weight room. Yeah, Jen is making a weight room in like his Warframe dojo, which like looks like very much Cyberpunk inspired. So like we're kind of gonna like sit in there and wait for Cyberpunk to release. Well, we were gonna do it in November, but we're probably not gonna do that because we're gonna sit there for a very long time. That's something that we can do. But yeah, I hope they they come out with a good game. I hope that finally this will be the actual release date. What a long journey this is, waiting for this one game. Let's hope it will be good. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, let's get to the actual topics that we've thrown out. Let's start off with the first one. Twitch threatening with DMCA bans leads to Twitch streamers deleting years worth of content on their site. So last week, several streamers received an email from Twitch stating that their channel had content taken down due to DMCA notices. We on YouTube commonly know that as like a copyright strike or a copyright claim. Most of the time the strike takes it down, or claim can like take the ad revenue. Twitch hasn't really seen this until like the start of this year, and now again as well right here. Whilst Twitch refused to specify in these emails which content exactly was taken down on what the issue was with which companies, where like they didn't really give any specifics, which also there might neglect the creators the opportunity to counteract the claim. They did do something very, 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 very great, which was tell these creators without any information about where they infringed on that this was a one-time warning about the DMCA takedowns, and the next offense would actually get their channel banned. In order to work with the DMCA rules, they said that in order to work.
Sorry.
Oh, Drew's bugging out.
No. They're going to just ban you.
Yes. So everyone received an email well, not everyone. People that had a claim against them received an email that content of them had been taken down. They didn't tell them what content had been taken down or who claimed it, or there wasn't even an option to appeal. But they said that this was a one-time warning, and the next time you'd be banned.
The literal fuck.
Yes, that has been the reaction from Twitch streamers across the world as well. And we thought YouTube was bad. So, in order...
Fucking hell, come on!
What they said was, in order to work with DMCA rules and protect your Twitch channel from a single strike that could ban your channel on Twitch, Twitch has implemented a lot of measures that could help you as a creator. Like, for example, being able to delete all your clips, being able to delete all of your videos at once, restrict who can make clips on your channel, and they've also created the Twitch soundtrack system, as we previously discussed on FrameCast, which pays artists with exposure and can only be used on current live streams. So those are some very handy tools, and a lot of creators have actually used some of those tools, which ended up like deleting a lot of content. Like, yeah, this was very well received by the community. I mean, not very well received by the community. As many Twitch streamers were forced to delete up to 10 years worth of content in the fear of a single strike ban. Overall, people have been upset that Twitch cannot enforce a solution akin to YouTube, where claims can lead to either shared ad revenue, or they can even be counterclaimed, or at least work with like a free strike system where people can like figure out like what they're doing wrong and like how they can solve this, instead of like fearing this one thing that can just like literally ban your channel from like any piece of content from like whatever you ever created.
I wish my webcam would go low enough so you could actually see me headbutt my table, right? Because, like, fucking Christ, everyone fucking claims that, like, Twitch is the way forward, and I'm like, and now, oh my.
It's the thing that staggers me. The thing that staggers me is that like I have. When I started Twitch streaming, I first thought it was like a radio station. I played a lot of my favorite songs, and then I realized very quickly early on, I was like, wait, why are we allowed to do this? Like, this makes no sense. So I cut all of it, and I threw everything like to copyright free. I went for copyright free music. I cut out song requests because I didn't want to get in trouble with this. In the meantime, people were still playing their Spotify playlists. People were still playing it was so prolific on Twitch that everyone would just be playing the radio sort of thing. Everyone would just be playing like the most popular songs. There would be no claims whatsoever. Nothing would happen. And then it goes from like doing nothing, people literally like watching like TV series on Twitch, to going to like, oh hell yeah guys, we've never really done something, but if you do one thing bad, or we find one thing bad in like your history, you're banned. It's like, where, what?
Like, don't get me wrong, right? So I'm gonna say something that might piss off and upset a lot of people. All 11 of you. And I hope that what I'm about to say doesn't offend you, because I hope you can understand where I'm coming from. So, in the early days when I had when I got my Warframe glyph, right?
Yeah.
They gave me a series of codes that was difficult to manage, right? And I came up with a system that taught me much in terms of internet security. I came up with a system to distribute my glyph codes easily. Right? So the system was designed so that if you put in a universal code, it would allow X many attempts, X many codes available, blah, 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 blah. And people were able to get my glyph code. Hilariously, I actually discovered if you do a search, I think it's like if you go on to Google, you do a search for Xenogallion, or it might be like you type in Xenogallion, hit space. Yeah, one of the first things comes up is glyph, right? Which goes to Xeno Ember Lover's glyph code, right? Which actually is a thing on the Warframe wiki, right? I fucking love this. I've got an entry in the Warframe wiki, I'll link it to you as well, that explains to people how to get my glyph code. But that glyph code would only be valid for like a couple of weeks, right? And it was just like, it was fucking hilarious. Like, it was off the first arbiters.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I built this system, but there were loads of people exploiting the system. There were people that were acquiring the codes en masse. So like, I see that 100 codes are available. So what they did was they downloaded, so they acquired all 100 codes, right? They registered them all to themselves. And it was like really problematic, because that meant that people didn't have an opportunity to. So I had to put in some special rules to effectively screw over the people trying to exploit the system. So if you try to redeem a code from the same IP address within 5 minutes, right, it would generate a fake code.
Ooh.
Right? And the system would tell you, like, it would show you it was a legit code and things like that. So you generate a fake code, you put it in, and then, and my philosophy was that if people had a problem, they would come up to me and say, hey ho, this, this code didn't work. And I'd legitimately give them a proper code. I wasn't preventing people from getting the, but, it was because someone fucking hacked the database, right? And tried to download the entire content of the database. Luckily, it didn't work. But like, my web server was put through its paces. It was like,
honestly,
but like
like that is absolutely crazy for just a dumb, stupid PNG and like in a game. Like I
exactly right. This one day there were 25,000 attacks on the web server,
Mhm.
right? Typically, you only get like, I don't know, a few a day. 25,000! And I was like, what the shit is this? And like someone was trying to break into the database, and they were really fucking clever, right?
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, they did some really clever shit, and like I had to circumvent it. But holy crap, I was, so I can appreciate that if you've got a problem in a system, right? If you define rules like, oh, you can't sorry, yeah, for example, you can't withdraw more than one glyph code from the same IP address. What people will do is they'll just restart their router and then they'll get another one, right?
Mhm.
You tell them what the problem is, and they will find out how to circumvent it, right?
Mhm.
So this isn't for the good, loyal people. This is because of the people that are doing the bad shit.
So like what you're trying to say is like the argument that YouTube always brings forward why their communication sucks to no end is that they're saying like, oh, we can't tell you like how things work and how you can actually like earn money on our site, because if we do that, then like we can like tell bad actors how it works, sort of thing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? Which sucks.
Well,
It
yeah.
royally sucks, because the problem is these solutions are engineered by human minds, and human minds can come up with counterattacks,
So like
right?
like partly I agree, and I think that when it comes to certain things, like how to get in like the YouTube algorithm sort of thing, or like how to circumvent actual copyright infringement sort of thing. So like when it comes to like full re-uploads of like full series, like how to circumvent that, like you don't need to know that. But I do think that it's important that if you are a content creator, that you be told, especially when you're streaming on YouTube or you're streaming on Twitch sort of thing, or this applies to YouTube as well, where like you're creating hours and hours of content, and then like you get hit with like a copyright claim, and like they don't even tell you like what it is. They don't even tell you like where it comes from. They don't even tell you like what's gonna happen. The only thing they tell you is like you've been hit with something, and if it happens again, that we're just gonna like ban you. You're gonna lose like a lot of income. Like a lot of these streamers, like some of them that have like deleted all their content are just like some of the main streamers on this platform. And it's like how many thousands of dollars do they have in their account? How many thousands of dollars like a month like concerns this thing where it's like, well, we're not going to inform you anything at all. We're just going to tell you like, oh yeah, you've had a claim. And like as an example, so like what I do is like I've selected a very specific playlist which is all from like copyright free artists. I've checked very thoroughly for their Spotify, for their SoundCloud, for their YouTube, for anything that I can find, like how much they state like this is copyright free or whether like it's not the case. And then like what I do is like I play them on stream. Afterwards, I check the stream, like the post stream, to see whether anything is muted. And if it's muted, then like the copyright system caught on. And then I'll check on YouTube because I'll find on YouTube. I'll see on YouTube whether the YouTube bots have flagged it as well. And if it's flagged, if anything's flagged, it just gets deleted, because sometimes artists like use a little snippet from like another song. Sometimes there's just bastards that claim things. Like recently, someone has actually gone ahead, and I tweeted this, and they have copy claimed the Among Us
Oh
victory
god, yeah.
sound. So like if you play Among Us and you win, your video can get claimed, and all the ad revenue can be taken by some stupid Spanish channel of like 6K subscribers that's just claiming all the Among Us videos. But hey, like if that happens to Twitch, if that happens on Twitch, if someone abuses it like that, they could take down big channels. And it's like you
Yeah.
need to know. Like if I'm making 6 hours or 8 hours of content, there's like one song where there's like one little snippet which isn't cleared by the artist, or they did get it cleared, but like the company was like, oh, we're gonna strike anyway because we like money. It's like, well then like you're fucked, and like you need to know. And that is something also what it applies to YouTube. It's like, yeah, like the bad actor thing in some cases where I'm like, yes, I can agree with the argument. When it comes to like the actual people that actually want to work on the site, that actually make a living on off the site, like you need to tell them things. And I think that when it comes to DMCA's here, especially when they're like one single takedown, it's like you gotta like you this is way too little information, way too little.
No, I do agree, and in all honesty, I'd be inclined to see someone like YouTube go, hey, we won't do this to you. You know,
Or
if you're threatened
there actually
by
is one.
Twitch, why don't you come out? Huh?
Facebook Gaming. Remember, they license with
Oh yeah,
all the music companies,
yeah.
but it's Facebook.
It's Facebook. But nothing is safe. Nothing is sacred. Nothing is perfect. And this stuff will always happen and things like that. It's difficult because, like, when companies like Twitch, no, let's say companies like Twitter that are known for, or YouTube or Patreon, are known for moderating the content, and they are subject to DMCA strikes and things like that. That's like the real problem. If there was a law in like the US which stated that, you know, if as long as you don't moderate, as long as you don't say we're not shutting down this channel for whatever reason, much like a telephone company or something like this, then I don't think companies should be able to sue them for the copyrighted material. Instead, individuals should be sued. Yeah.
I mean,
but
that system is in place.
Is it in place?
Yeah, that is what the EU is breaking down, by the way. So like basically the US is like this safe harbor thing where like if you have a platform and there's like copyrighted stuff on there, like the platform is not responsible. Like but
No, it is.
No, it's not. So like basically like when it's on there, like when like the copyright the rights holder finds the content, they have to tell the platform it's on there and the platform has to strike it off of there. And then they're not responsible for it. That's why you have to take it up individually.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
But that is why so for example, it's okay, so for example, if a newspaper, right, said something slanderous about yourself, right? So if they wrote an article and they said Michel is terrible at video games and he's a big fat poopy head, right? You had the opportunity to sue them because they actively chose to put that in their publication, right? Whereas if I phoned up someone over a telephone and said, you know, Michel's a big fat poopy head, he's terrible at video games, so on and so forth, you can't then sue the phone company, right? Because the phone company isn't moderating what people say on their platform. Right? Now, websites, because the US Congress, was it Congress? I can't remember. I think it was US Congress, was concerned that the internet wouldn't take off, right? They gave the internet a lot of freedom in doing what it wanted, right? So they could both be publisher and platform at the same time. However, in this day and age, so we're talking like the 80s, 70s, 80s kind of time. However, in this day and age, that is no longer a good thing, because basically a platform like YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, whatever, can treat itself like a publication when it wants to and say, no, we don't like the fact that you're saying that about Obama, we're going to ban you, right? Oh, we don't like the fact that your political views don't align with our political views, we're going to ban you. Like
we don't like that cake you made, we're going to ban it.
Exactly. You know, it's that sort of mentality. And part of the problem is that even though the EU is crippling expression of free speech with Article 13, and the UK has not adopted it, the US doesn't have that sort of restriction on freedom of speech. However, it does have the restriction on fair use and transformative property.
Well,
Right?
actually, fair use is easier than in the EU. EU doesn't have fair use actually. Technically, EU has permitted use. So in the EU law, you would actually have to ask someone a permit. Like you would have to ask someone to use their content only in like very exclusive. So like actually, MapHat made a very interesting video about this around like the Article 14 thing, where like basically EU fair use doctrine or like permitted use is even stricter than when it comes to the US. But because all these companies are based in the US, we're using US fair use laws. But with like EU like copyright laws, it's even stricter regardless of Article 14. Article 14 was like also a really bad thing that made it worse.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but like, yeah.
No, I sorry. This permit to use thing.
So let's see. So fair use versus permitted use. Fair use is a US thing.
Yeah.
And I think permitted use is a EU thing. Anyway, like I don't have time to like look this up right now, but like
in the UK, right? There are a series of things that are exceptions to copyright, right?
Yeah.
And you can see this on the gov.uk website. So non-commercial research and private study is one of them. Text and data mining for non-commercial research. Criticism, review, and reporting on current events is another one. Teaching, helping disabled people. I don't know what time shifting is. Parody. I have no idea how you pronounce that word. So basically parody stuff. You know, there is a lot of options within UK law, so I don't know what this permit thing is.
So it says right here, the Copyright in the Information Society Directive of 2001 says it's allowed for parody, quotation, private copying, and classroom use. Whereas the Copyright Act also has like parody, quotation, private copying, classroom use, and file sharing. I think they're very similar, but the US is a little bit more free. Anyway, like. Yes. When it comes to like the actual like copyright stuff, when it comes actually to like the DMCA things, I believe that overall there's a lot of like things that are being missed out on, especially when it comes to Twitch, where if like these music companies or these like and like in general like these companies would not be so like traditional in their sense, they would say that there's like a big market share where like, hey, you know, if there is songs being played in videos, if there are songs being played in like live streams, which aren't like just radio tune things, but it's actually just like in the background of like someone actually like engaging sort of thing, then they become just like music and movies. They become part of like the popular culture, and like that spreads their music. Now, I'm not gonna say that like that actually like leads one-to-one to record sales, because like obviously, like, not everyone that hears the music in, like, a video definitely, like, goes and, like, buys the record. However, it is true that, like, a lot of videos, like, a lot of music I listen to is, like, all the copyright-free music that, like, everyone uses in their videos, because that is, like, that's things that I hear all the time. So I think that especially when it comes to, like, things like Twitch, so someone could make the argument this entire thing is a little bit stupid, but it's not there yet. Like, it's still, like, the way that the law is set up, the way that, like, people own property is the way that it is. And I think that, like...
The last point I was trying to make, regardless of the whole derailment into wait, what was
fair use, permitted use.
Whatever. Yeah, fair use, permitted use. Sticking with the US thing, with fair use, right? One thing that Donald Trump proposed was forcing web platforms like social media and things like that, content platforms, to choose to either be a platform like a phone company, or a publication like a tabloid or the Time, you know, a newspaper, right? The platform, you are not allowed to moderate the content on the platform, but at the same time, you are not responsible for the content on the platform. So if you're on YouTube, YouTube decides, hey, I'm going to put on we're classifying ourselves as a platform. Someone creates a video about hate speech.
They're
right?
responsible for it, just as though they'd be on like a phone call and like they'd be doing
The person
doing the
is,
act. Yeah,
not
the person
YouTube.
is not YouTube, but the person themselves
Yes,
are.
right?
And if they want to like publish, if they want to become a publisher, I think we've spoken about this like half a year ago in
Yeah.
FrameCast as well. Where it's
Yeah.
like if they want to become a publisher, that's fine, but then they're responsible for everything on their site because they made it. If they want to be a platform, then it's
Yes.
like it's not in their hands, but they can't moderate it.
Yes. And I personally feel that if platforms like Twitch or YouTube went, we're going to go the whole site, as long as Trump actually put this law into place, if they went, we're a platform, right? That would make their lives so much easier, because then it's up to the record labels to sue the individual users of the platform, right? You know, so then the record label doesn't have an easy target like they did with torrenting websites like the Pirate Bay or Supernova, rings a bell, I can't remember, or Kick-Ass Torrent. You know, like those sites that, you know, they are, you get the idea.
Yeah. Well, I think in general that like having a clear distinction, having platforms choose whether they want to become a platform or publisher is great in many aspects, especially also when it comes to like being able to create content sort of thing and being able to like be banned because on the whims of whoever is like judging your content sort of thing. However, I do think that when it comes to the DMCA and the rights stuff, I don't know whether it's like the perfect solution. Like I'd like them to actually have to choose, but I don't know whether it will be more beneficial, especially like if a company actually does go after, like, let's say that I'm like I'm like an up and coming kid like making a channel, and then all of a sudden like my channel blows up, and it blows up like in a month, which can happen, and then like someone that's on like the music group copyright team just finds this channel that blows up, then finds that because I was like a kid that started with my first vlogger said like I used some like some of their music, and then they decide to like sue me for like an insane amount because they can. It's like, well, that's not really a desirable situation, I think, for like the kid in question. So like it could also lead to very nasty alternatives. And even if it doesn't, the idea that like they're not going to be able to govern it because it's going to be like, so like you have to go to the individual sort of thing, and because of that you can't govern it, become like a kind of like a torrent situation thing where like it's not allowed, but like it still happens because they can't govern it. Like I don't think that's an ideal situation either. I think that when it comes to like being able to use this music, being able to use this stuff, I think that like it actually needs to get into like these people's heads that like, hey, it's actually like we can actually make a beneficial structure where like if people use it, just like how Facebook has licensed all of that, if people can actually use it, then like it will be in the popular minds, it will be in the culture that people actually use. But anyway, like until we get there, like I have no problem using copyright free stuff. However, I do think that like people need to be notified of it, and like maybe like be notified of it, be able to like get rid of it, be informed about it, and maybe like we can like, even with this rights, with like the rights as they are right now, maybe we can take a look at like ad splitting, ad revenue splitting sort of thing as we do on YouTube. But that's not happening on Twitch. But like that is something where it's like there are way more easier solutions, or solutions that can like ease in, because like I never understood like how people could be sitting there on their live streams watching entire series. How could people be sitting there on their live streams like playing like the latest album of like the biggest rapper or whatever that just came out? It's like, how the hell can you guys do this? How the hell is anyone getting away with this? And it will be just partnered streamers, from page partnered streamers. I was like, how is anyone doing this? How is this fine? It's like, I am like, again, like I think it was fine in a sense that like there's violation of rights as like it actually is, as the law stands right now, like was kind of like slowed down a bit. I'm not the biggest fan of it personally, but like seeing it as it is, like I'm kind of like, yeah, like I can understand that. I can understand that this is something which infringes on people's rights. I can see like how they tore it down. But like the way that it went was, it makes no sense. It went from like everything is allowed sort of thing to if you make one mistake, you're gone. And that is way too much. That is way too hard. And like I think Twitch will need to like find some sort of safeguard. And like seriously, I cannot believe Mixer is gone right now, because if Mixer would have gone in right now with the news that Microsoft, just like Facebook, had licensed all the deals with all these things, and they could have like gone ahead and swooped people up, but they didn't. They died before they could get there, and that's kind of sad. That's very sad.
Indeed. Right, I think we're done on this topic.
Yes.
Should we move on?
Yeah. Do you want to go to the other thing that kind of ties into this?
Yes.
The Stadia? I think that's yours.
Yes. Yes, that's my topic. So, right, Stadia's Montreal's creative director said bad things, and Google is trying to pretend they don't know him, which is hilarious. On October 22nd, Alex Hutchinson, the creative director of the Montreal studio for Stadia, made a pair of tweets that that were highly inflammatory to the gaming community, focusing on the streaming community. Right? His original tweets: Tweet 1. Streamers worried about getting their content pulled because they use music they didn't pay for should be more worried by the fact that they're streaming games that they didn't pay for as well. It's all gone as soon as publishers decide to enforce it. Then tweet 2, the real truth is that streamers should be paying the developers and publishers for the games they stream. They should be buying a license like any real business and paying for content they use. As expected, the general response was massively negative. The tweets the tweets have been heavily mocked and have had thousands of responses pointing out that even the games on Stadia have EULA agreements and FAQs that specifically allow for streamers and games, streaming of the games to monetize on platforms like Twitch and YouTube. The situation was not helped by Alex's Twitter bio not being specific about his position, where he named himself as the creative director of Stadia, right? Making people think that he had a much more important position than he really does, and that this was an opinion from somebody that had a say over Stadia's policies. There are a lot of well-known names from the community weighing in on the topic, but some of the notable ones brought actual statistics on the table. Landon Carnage Apollo responded with statistics for Among Us, with screenshots of the 2019 to 2020 Steam statistics that show that the show the game having traffic in the double digits during 2019, increasing a little to a few hundred in early 2020, and then the growth of 1,500% in July when the game was picked up by streamers. 16.6% in August, and 132,600% in September. This statement was simply his statement was simply pay streamers. With journalists, other business heads, and even YouTube leads making their opinions known, the most interesting development on the situation is that a spokesperson from Google made the following statement. The recent tweets by Alex Hutchinson, creative director at the Montreal studio of Stadia Games and Entertainment, do not reflect those of Stadia, YouTube, or Google. The same day that this statement was made, Alex Hutchinson's Twitter profile updated with the phrase, "All opinions are my own." Given that Google is marketing Stadia as a streaming gaming platform, one of their goals is to integrate it with YouTube for the specific purpose of streaming, with dedicated functions to be part of the YouTube gaming section of the site. It's in Google's best interest to make that connection as seamless and easy to access as possible, which is why the threat of streaming licensing is something they would not support. In short, a Stadia studio director had a bad take on gaming, and now everyone is throwing him under the bus, including the people that own his studio.
Do you want to know something even more funny?
Go on.
So if you go to his Twitter profile right now, I don't know if it's still up there.
Yeah.
But like he was so adamant on like, oh, people have got to like pay the people that own their content sort of thing.
Oh God!
His his
this
his
is the
Twitter
banner.
banner is actually
Oh,
like
God.
a picture of like, I think it's Jacksepticeye fan art or something, and
Yeah.
it does not credit the original artist.
So it was when Jacksepticeye was doing a playthrough of. God, what was the name of the damn
I don't
thing?
remember the game.
It was like Strange World Planet something.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called. And it turns out that Alex Hutchinson worked on that game,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically lifted the the fucking fan art, and it's just like, you
It's so
fucking idiot.
It wouldn't like at least if you make a statement, like bring it out the case. Anyway, let's see. How do we want to approach this? I can see two approaches, and I kind of want to get into them both. But which one do you want to get in first? First of all, like I can kind of like support his statement a little bit, give a little bit light on there, and on the other hand, I can talk about like Twitter shenanigans, that like yeah. So which one do you want to get into first? The Twitter
I'm
shenanigans or like the
interested.
streaming?
What's this Twitter shenanigans?
So okay,
Twitter-
so this seems to me like a classic case of someone that wants to go and like throw his opinion around to say much more important than he actually is. And that is like, I often wonder, why do people use Twitter to be in any way serious? To be in any way like, oh, let me go and like discuss things on Twitter? Because like, have you ever had a constructive discussion on Twitter that lets you anything actually like constructive happening in the real world?
Not that I can think of. No.
Me neither. Me neither. So like literally at like every single time that I see people come out with these statements, it's just someone like trying to like rough up the crowd, be like, oh, I know more than you guys, or like, oh, you all should listen to me. And it's like, it never ends well. And that's why I'm like, I just look at this, I'm like, come on, dude. Like, seriously, like, did you really have to do this? Like, because like, it's so dumb.
It's like, you know, taking a bazooka and shooting. Like, so I do get that. I feel sometimes Twitter is not necessarily the platform for voicing opinions, right?
Mhm.
Because you're limited on the amount of space you can say a message, and ultimately, like anything written, spoken, whatever, can be misconstrued, right? And I remember seeing a joke to do with. Actually, I'm not going to go down that train of thought because this is exact the problem. Like, I could say something.
I mean, like yeah. I mean, yeah.
In the future. Yeah.
Things can be very easily misconstrued, especially on Twitter. The thing that I find on Twitter though is that like when I made a Twitter account, when I opened Twitter for the first time, I just knew like this thing was just a joke thing. So like you get Twitter with a bunch of friends, and like all you do is like every morning you say hello on Twitter, and like you post some dumb memes on there, and like you'd say some shit towards each other, and that was it. Like no one took it seriously, no one did anything with it. And now all of a sudden people are like, oh, it's an important thing. Stocks go down, people get sued over tweets they made. It was like really weird, but anyway. But still, it's like it's not really a platform. It's like I don't know. I don't really know what it is, because like at the same time, you can call me a hypocrite for saying this, because we're here on the podcast discussing things, and we're still discussing topics, and are we actually going to make a change? Probably not. But like I'm also not pushing towards like making a change. I think it's just funny to like discuss ideas. I think it's funny to like go about like talking about things, whatever, you know. We're not all that serious sort of thing. Kind of talking about the actualities. That's kind of what the FrameCast is. But when it comes to Twitter, it's like, I don't get why people go ahead, make some statements, and like try to discuss and argue things as though it's gonna make a difference. It's just upsetting people and just like bringing you into trouble. Like as you see right here, like what was his end goal? Like that's my biggest question. Like what was the end goal of this guy that wanted to put out this tweet? Was he like, oh, you know, everyone needs to know about this? Probably not. Was he like, oh, you know, everyone's gonna read this tweet and then like streaming sites are gonna go down, like this justice will be prevailed? Probably not, because like that wasn't his interest at all. Does he own a studio? Like does he own someone that's actually being hurt by streaming? Probably not. Like he'd probably be hurt a lot more if streaming went away. It's like, what was his goal? Probably his goal was just to score some social points. To like bring out the sledgehammer against like the popular opinion, have everyone like shit at him, have everyone then say his name in the news, and then he feel all goosey and giddy about it, and maybe have some people come and do it's like, hey, that's a smart opinion. And it's like, what the fuck are we talking about? This is so dumb. And like you see, he gets in a lot of trouble with it, and it's like, For crying out loud, it's like I would strongly recommend if you're ever on social media, if you're ever on Twitter, like if you want to discuss things with your friends, go ahead and do it. If you want to have fun with your friends, go ahead and do it. But if you're online and you find like a topic that you strongly disagree with, just leave it be, because no one gives a fuck. Like, legit, no one cares. And like, even if you win, like, and I know this because I've done some bad arguing in like the Warframe forums, but like, even if you win the argument, which barely happens online, what's gonna happen is nothing. Like, literally nothing is gonna happen. So it's so pointless. So just use it for memes.
There's a brilliant quote from the movie Paul Blart Mall Cop, right? Where the character played by Kevin James, he is Paul Blart and a mall cop. He's just a security guard from a shopping mall, and someone's like broken in and things like that. He ends up headbutting the bad guy, knocking him out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the immediate response, like, the guy's like, Paul Blart is like, he's headbutted the guy. He's, oh my god, no one wins with a headbutt. And it's true. It's true. No one wins with a fuck. Don't headbutt someone. It hurts, right? Mm-hmm. And that's honestly what these Twitter opinion pieces are. No one fucking wins.
No.
Right? Just shut up. Just like, I honestly, right now, if you're listening to this, I don't mean to pick on you. I've got two people that have dragged me into an argument on Twitter because I released, like, my Warframe account turned 8 years old on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And I've got two people having an argument between each other on Twitter about DE's practices and things like this. I'm not getting involved. I'm not fucking touching that. Yeah. Right? I am not picking a fucking side, right?
No, but it's like I can't imagine like I can kind of imagine because I've done it with the Warframe forums. You can go to my Warframe forums account, you can find some like cringy ass shit where I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna like go into an argument with someone, see if I can convince them or see if I can win. But it's so dumb. And it's like, right now, if I just see that happening, like, the only time I engage with that is just if I can take the piss. Because, like, sometimes it's just like, oh, how can I spin this to, like, make a joke out of it? But, like, at the same time, it's like, I don't use Twitter for, like, serious statements. I don't use Twitter for, like, oh, this is what I think. Because, like, honestly, it's like, you're not going to achieve anything with it. It's just, like, shouting in a void and just, like, it's people shouting together. And it's like, that's Twitter. But, again, like, you see, it just gets people in a lot of trouble. Speaking kind of like what he's talking about, I think that, like, well, we keep it brief so we can also get to the PlayStation topic and, like, one more. I think, like, there is some form of truth a little bit in what he's saying. So, like, I do believe that if you take a look at, like, it's like we take for granted that doing a let's play or doing like game streaming is a very accepted form of fair use. But I can very well imagine, like, I wasn't there at the time, but I have heard like a lot of stories from like early let's players that like this was a hard fought battle, because like if you have like a game which is like a piece of content ready to be experienced, like, and streaming that with like your face on it is like how much of that is your actual content. Like, you don't own all that content. And I especially feel that, especially when I do like early game or like gameplay series on YouTube, or whenever I do like gameplay stuff or like a quest sort of thing, I do feel like, especially when there's like a lot of cinematics, I just feel like I'm sitting there, I'm just like being pretty, because like literally like you're watching the cinematics, especially when you start up a game, and just like listening, you're just like listening, and if you start talking over it, people get mad at you because you're talking over it. It's like, at that point, am I the content? Like, what am I actually creating, and what is actually just like the game playing and people watching the game? And I think at that point, like, it's a lot of the game playing and a lot of watching the game. So when it comes to like a story game, when it comes to like a game where like it's a lot of cinematics, I can very well understand that people can make the argument where it's like, how much content do you actually create? But when it comes to games like Among Us, like, literally, the content is the people arguing. Like, there would not be content if it was just, like, the guys walking around and you wouldn't see anyone arguing, or, like, everyone just be, like, bored out of their minds. And this actually brings entertainment. So I do think that there is a little bit to be thought about, like, oh, yeah, there might be an argument made. Then again, like, seeing how much like this actually like game streaming actually elevates the games, how actually like developers go ahead and pay streamers to like actually bring it forward, and how like being able to like this was also I believe the argument that has been won with like the let's players, where like because you bring an individual experience, and unlike any piece of media where like when you're watching a movie, the movie is the movie, in a game like the game is very dependent on the actions of like the single player, and because like the player is unique every single time, you get a unique experience, and people will ultimately also kind of tend to buy the game once they watch the streamer or watch the let's player play the thing. So I do think that like yes, there is a little bit where you can like come out and say like, well, yeah, you know, if someone's like watching cinematics, like how much of that is like original content, but at the same time, like there are so many arguments that actually the industry itself has adopted for this thing that's like, well, you're kind of like arguing something which like no one is really arguing for, and it's like a really weak point actually.
I agree where you're coming from. There have been more games that I have picked up because content creators say, oh, this game exists and things. Among Us is actually a prime example. I watched Node or Corridor Digital, as they're alternatively known as, playing Among Us, and I freaking loved watching it, to the point of, yeah, I bought it and I encouraged other people to get it as well. I hope that in my mega rants and ravings about Nier Automata, people have bought Nier Automata, because I do think it is totally worth it. It's I kind of see where this guy is coming from, but I think the largest point is how transformative, like how much has the content creator brought to the actual game experience that wasn't necessarily originally there. Like, as you said, I'd argue 80% of the game experience of Among Us with content creators is through it is transformative, right? Because without them, you wouldn't have the same experience by any stretch of the imagination. Whereas if you were to have, say, a silent playthrough of Nier Automata, I'd argue that's, I don't know, 5 to 10% transformative. And I do think that is subject to someone being sued, because that is just someone playing the game, right? They're not
then again,
bringing
how do you, I mean, like, how do you feel about like walkthroughs sort of thing? I mean, would those be under the educational segment then? Because like there are also videos where like there is no creator like actually speaking about it, but like they'll play through parts of the game or the game itself, so that like if you're stuck, you can go there and watch and be like, oh, this is the way I do it.
So if you're talking about so a playthrough of something like Nier Automata without any form of commentary, without a webcam, without any of that stuff, it is literally just gameplay footage going from start to end, right? No editing involved whatsoever. No, maybe some cuts, some hard cuts, to go from episode to episode or part to part. Like, this is where I argue it's 5 to 10% transformative, because the only thing that you are not experiencing is the control of the gameplay, right? Otherwise,
you're experiencing the entire thing.
If it's something like a game where all the stuff is chopped out, so like all the busy quests or the busy work of playing the game, then I'd argue that is probably about 20-25% transformative, depending on how much you chop out. So a clear case is the Ultimate Spider-Man game that came out donkeys years ago. I think it was like 2005. I tried to find a playthrough of that recently for this upcoming Xeno Codex, and it's only like 3 hours long. And I'm like, the game is more than 3 hours long, and it's because they chopped out all the dull, monotonous shit. Right? It was just the core plot elements, and that was it. So again, like, if they've chopped out that much of the experience, then I'd argue it's quite transformative. But there was another one, a game saying for the Xeno Codex. I was looking up Brutal Legend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was, just start to stop with no commentary, no nothing. And I was like, right, this is not transformative enough.
Yeah.
Right. Oddly enough, that was sat on a YouTube channel with nearly 500,000 subscribers.
Damn, we're doing something wrong.
Yeah, clearly we just need to play games and
Yeah.
not actually say anything.
Not actually say anything about them. I think that we should get to the titular topic. With time, probably.
Yeah, we got time.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Well, actually, what is our time that we have available to us?
No, just go for it. Just go for it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay, just like keep me updated. So let's see. So the titular topic right now is Big Brother Sony to listen in and ban bad speak. So in a recent update to the PlayStation 4, PlayStation now combines the console's messaging system with the party functionality, which means that you can only invite friends to your party via message groups you've already formed, so ditching the previous ability to create open or private parties. In addition to this, players received a notification telling them that their voice chats may be recorded for moderation. This upset a lot of people who don't feel like being recorded and potentially being banned for hanging out with friends after work or after school. Sony said that they cannot monitor the whole of the PlayStation Network and they make no commitment to do so. However, they said, we reserve the right in our sole discretion to monitor and record your online activity and communication throughout the PlayStation Network and to remove or delete any content we want. We may use this information we collect as descriptive of to detect breaches and enforce our PlayStation Network terms of service, software usage, and system software license agreements, and any other terms of service you may have agreed to and any rules of conduct on the use of your PlayStation Network. Furthermore, they clarified that voice chat recording for moderation is a feature that will be available on the PlayStation 5 when it launches, and will enable users to record their voice chats on the PlayStation 5 and submit them for moderation to review. The pop you're seeing on the PS4 right now is just to let you know that when you participate in a chat with a PlayStation 5 user post the launch, they may be able to submit those recordings from their PS5 to PlayStation itself. So basically, they're telling everyone that like, hey, from now on, especially with like the new launch, you may be recorded at all times. If we detect something that breaches any of our codes of conduct, then we may ban you. And one of the things which like wasn't necessarily mentioned, but like has been seen in the past, as Blaze brought forward at the start of the stream, like being banned on like console doesn't really mean like, oh, I can't play this game anymore. Most of the time, that means that like they kind of brick your console, where like you can't use any online functionality, or maybe not even use the console at all, which did happen a lot in like the Xbox 360 days. So being banned for having your voice being recorded while you're just chilling and hanging out with your friends online. What do you feel about that, Drew?
So I think one thing to like really highlight. So first off, not a fan of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, no, you fucking keep your own fucking, Big Brother bullshit away from me.
Yeah.
You will not monitor my existence. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So kindly shove it up your ass and fuck off. I think one thing to really take into consideration is how much things like mobile phones listen in to nearly everything we say and or do. Right? It's personally, I don't think platforms like YouTube, platforms like mobile phones should be allowed to listen in. So like when you say things like "Okay Google" or "Hey Siri" or whatever, it shouldn't
you just
trigger.
Activate people. You should watch out. You may activate people's things.
That's the point though.
Yeah.
Right. Because basically, in order for your phone to respond to these, OK Alexa or whatever,
yeah.
In order for your device to be able to respond to these things, it has to be constantly listening to you in order to determine whether or not the voice pattern matches the criteria in order to do something.
Yeah.
And basically, a lot of companies turn around and say, well, we're always listening to them anyway, so why don't we just take it that one step further and abuse what they're saying? Like, there have been instances where I've been talking about something, and then I open up an advert to it on my phone. I'm like, the fuck.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I was talking to someone about something recently, and like, oh look, an advert for this on Twitter. Yeah,
Actually, let's try this right now. Let's test this out right now. Even Cortana on PC does that. Bree says, "Oh wow." Okay, so let's test this out right now. I assume that this will not be in any of your advertisements as of now. So like we're gonna test this out from this moment forward. So have you guys all seen this video by Most Critical where he ordered like the world's largest dildo? Like he had like this penis that was like super fucking big. It is insane, and he went like throwing around for like the big penis Olympics. So if we start talking right now about that big fucking dildo that he ordered, and like he played around with like on a video, completely safe work by the way. Don't worry about it. Don't think about weird things because like that thing is massive. Like standing up is like it's like that. So like
I just want to point out the flaw with what Michelle's saying right now. Michelle, what am I wearing?
You're wearing a blue vest right now, and you're wearing
a little higher.
T-shirt. You're wearing... Oh, dude, you should join in too.
Headset. You
should join in too. Say...
No, I'm wearing a fucking headset. My phone can't hear what you're saying.
Play this on speaker. Play this on... If you're playing this on speaker right now, we're talking about Charlie's big fucking dildo, and you get a dildo advertisement. Please let us know, and this will be our social experiment. And if that works, then we have proof.
Wow.
Anyway. Did it work? We're going to be able to find out next week. But no, like, it is...
Also, please point out to Michelle, if you're wearing headphones, like, you know, how much that didn't work because you're wearing headphones.
Well, just replay it on YouTube with, like, speakers out. Or repeat me saying this. I watched...
Oh my god.
No, but like you do make a very fair point where it's like especially if you think about it, like if you think about the device that you have, this is currently turned off by the way, or like as turned off as it is, because like if you turn it off, it's not entirely turned off, so it still sends signals sort of thing. But like if you think about that, like you have this device which has like information to like the entire world sort of thing. Like you can figure out everything. There's all the information mankind is in this machine, but at the same time, it can track you at any point in time. It has cameras on like all sides, and it has like microphones on all sides. It's like, well, that's a bit weird, isn't it? And I'm kind of fine with my phone sort of thing because like I also actively like go after like disabling certain things. I don't like voice assistants, all that sort of stuff. So like I make sure I disable that and try to like lock everything down as much as possible. But the one thing which I just don't get, I've never understood, was like the Alexa speakers or like the home speaker sort of thing, or like the voice assistants on your phone. It's like the thing that I find, and please convince me if you are someone that uses it, is like what is the benefit as opposed like if I pick up my phone like this, okay, and then I say like, hey phone, what is 3 + 5? And then it says 8 to me. Like how much faster is it from me just being like, calculator. 3 + 5.
3 + 5, yeah.
It's like the benefit is like 0, I feel personally. And given how like voice things work, where it's like if you sit in your car and it's like, please call Robert, and it's like calling the police. No, call Robert. Sending a text to your mom that you died. No, I said call Robert. Setting navigation to 2 cities over. Call Robert. Calling the police again. Like the things barely work. Like sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And it's like, why, like I don't see the big benefit of it. And at the same time, like even if it does work a little bit, that benefit is so negligible as opposed to like the downside of it constantly listening into you, where I'm like I would just feel creeped out by like having a little box sitting there that's like constantly listening to me. It's like I don't get it. I really don't get it. And if you do get it, like please like tell me what it is in this like world, because like I don't get it. I'm like it's not for me, but like I just also don't get it why people would use it, because of like I don't see the benefits of it as opposed to like the negatives.
So I'm like I want to believe in the Star Trek utopia where you just go, computer, where is Commander Riker? You know, like, and it talks to you and everything. Whereas with mobile phones, like it's really flippant to how this stuff is working. Like I think one of the big things for me personally, whenever I get the opportunity to, I turn off targeted advertisements. Right?
Yeah.
It's hilarious how many adverts I get for Twitter, which are just gambling adverts and things like this. Like this has no appeal to me whatsoever.
Mm.
And yeah, I find it exhausting and boring, right? I really wish that there was a way to really turn down advertisements, because in our world, like, you get absolutely fucking bombarded with adverts and they carry next to no meaning, right?
Mm.
Like, I get an advert for this cool ass this cool ass hard drive, and it's like, okay, what's the catch, right?
Mm.
And that's the default mode I'm in now. It's just like, what's the catch?
I think
So
I think that a part of that also comes from, I mean, advertisement is always like, it always has a stigma of trying to be misleading. As I said last couple of days ago, we were looking at hard drives, and like we were trying to figure out like what hard drive is good for like a new PC build. And Drew said, well, let's go to the product page, let's go find it. And like I went scroll down the product page, and there's like paragraphs of text like explaining things. So like, who the fuck reads these? And Drew was like, I read these. I'm like, I never do that. I never do that, because I just assume it's bullshit. Because like every single time like I watch like a Linus Tech Tips video, like every single time they criticize a product for like misleading information, it's always in that these paragraphs of text. So like I'll just wait for like, I'll look at specs, I'll look at specs, I'll look at reviews, and the rest I don't care about, because I think it misleads. And where that necessarily comes from, that might just be like a history thing sort of thing, because why do people like fake things in videos? Why do people like use clickbait in videos sort of thing? Because, well, over time it's like kind of proven to like bring more attention in. But also, like, I also think like when it comes to like advertisement sort of thing, like there's a lot of money that goes into advertisement, and a lot of it also comes down to like the kind of ways that people create products and the way that people like make products and like the way that they look at things. Because like what I found is that you don't have to be the best. Being the best doesn't necessarily mean that you will win at something. So the best YouTuber probably isn't PewDiePie, because PewDiePie probably doesn't make the best videos. There's probably people that make way more frequent videos of a way higher production value than PewDiePie does, but he's one like he is the biggest creator on the platform, because that's the way things worked out. Likewise, like you can have people that make a brilliant product but don't get their product out there because they don't spend the money on advertisement. And then the question might be like, why don't they spend the money on advertisement? Well, maybe because they want to spend their money on like actually developing the product, or maybe because they're not even looking towards advertisement, because they're like, well, before I want to advertise my shit, I want to make sure it's good, and as long as I don't get my traffic, then it's not yet good enough, so I need to work on making it better. And they don't get the traffic because they don't advertise, but so like they'll never invest in advertisement sort of thing. So like it can also be like a thing where like the people that advertise the most might not necessarily be the best value for money sort of thing. And that's all with like advertisements, where like I don't trust them either. Like they're like I don't watch advertisements at all. It's just like whenever I see an advertisement, I'll just like turn down the volume. I'll just like look away sort of thing, because I don't care. They don't give me any information. It's just useless garbage for me.
So I've said for a few times now that I've paid. I'm on YouTube Premium, and the I did it because I could avoid like the Grammarly adverts and things. And hilariously, during the last 10 o'clock, someone asked the Patreon question, are you interested in Grammarly? And I'm like, fuck you so much. However, let's move on to let's bring it back to the PlayStation.
Yeah. I actually like one thing I still wanted to add on, like when you said like I kind of want to have that Star Trek experience, or maybe like the Tony Stark with like his AI.
Yeah.
The thing that I think that the biggest difference is, in these movies or in these cinematic universes, what you have is like an AI, or even in Warframe, you have like the Cephalon. It's like you have an AI which is either a personality which you can trust because like you have a bond with it, or you created it yourself, like the person created themselves. So like because you create it yourself, you know what it does, you know that it trusts you, and you know it's something that you can rely on. The thing is whatever voice assistant is on your phone, you didn't create it. It was created by like an entire team of experts that took them a really long time, and it's given to you for free, or like it comes in with the phone you buy. So because of that,
terms and conditions, man. Terms and conditions.
But like because of that, like the goal of it is not like it's there to serve you. It's there to like serve them, serve you. So like it will help you, but like it will also have to pay back for itself, or like it has to like it doesn't serve you as like the master, it serves like them, it serves like the company because they made it. As long as you don't make it, like you don't never know what it will do, and like it makes sense that these companies want to earn money back from it because they invested like a bunch of money into like making these things work and improve them. So like that is always going to be the catch when it comes to like this dream of like having this like personal assistant you can just call up and like they'll just like give you information, they can be with you everywhere. It's like, yeah, that's great, but then you're going to have to build it yourself, because if you don't, and someone else builds it for you, someone that you don't trust, that is just a company, then like, can you ever fully trust it? And that will be the big question, and I don't think you can.
No, I agree with you. I mean, that's why a certain individual is working on a certain platform that does a certain amount of community content and social networking shenanigans. I don't know what I'm possibly referring to.
Mm-hmm.
It's all shifty eyes.
So I gotta make my own AI? Yes, you do, Bree.
I'd love to build an AI. I would genuinely love to build like an artificial intelligence that I could actually talk to.
Mm-hmm.
It learn syntax. You know, I'd absolutely. Anyway,
yeah, bring it back to PlayStation. I think it's a lot. Oh, go ahead.
So I feel that it's not fair to moderate what someone is verbally saying. It is the voice side of things, isn't it? Yeah, being recorded, right? I do not think it's fair to verbally record some conversation being held between friends.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It says that it will only work in groups that have already been sorry, massively blowing my nose. It will only work in groups that have already been defined in conversation on the PlayStation Network and things like that. So they're doing away with private and online groups or conversations and things.
Mm-hmm.
But how I communicate with my friends is totally different to how other people communicate with their friends.
Yeah.
So, for example, like I've got friends in Australia that will happily drop the C word every half a second as casual banter, whereas over here in the UK, the C word is quite a strong word. If you know, in Scotland, they drop it around like it's you know, just the morning newspaper. But
yeah,
so I don't think it's fair for people to be themselves around their friends to then have Big Brother Sony turn around and potentially ban you.
Yeah. No, I agree entirely. I think that like partly people can make the case, well, it's their platform and it's their service, and then they shouldn't be using that if they don't agree with it. But it's kind of like, if you just want to have a communication with your friends, or like even, I mean, like even back in the Call of Duty days, like you would join like voice lobbies and people would be saying all sorts of shit. It's like, that's kind of what people did at that time. And I can still imagine people do these days, where it's like, you know, it's also like something where people just like, people play games because they just want to like come back from work, just let off some steam while playing games. And it's like, it's their own private matter sort of thing, where they're just like being themselves. And if you at work have got to watch yourself, if you like, because who knows who can like call anything on you, if you at school have got to watch yourself. And then like you also got to come home and like make sure that you don't say a bad word or someone might be recording you. It's like, yeah, well, technically anyone could be recording you whenever you're in a voice call with them. But like having this feature where it's like, oh, let's just like hit a button and like now you can record it and submit it to the moderation team. It's like, oh my god, do you really fucking need that? And then you need to send it to like someone to review it, where like we've seen it with YouTube how shit they are reviewing, because like they have like a bunch of people who are paid very little money to like review shit, and it's all based on personal opinion, so people can just review you. And you see with like YouTube videos, like they need to be called out. Remember that case with Moist Critical and Markiplier, where Moist Critical had like a video taken down, and then Markiplier had the same video that he reacted to, and then like they came forward and said like, Markiplier needs to be banned as well, and then Markiplier got banned too, and it's like, okay. And then YouTube stepped forward and was like, well, upon further review, it wasn't the case, and the videos are reinstated. It's like, that's just because the people that reviewed them didn't have the right context. It's like, well, the only way that was reversed was because like Markiplier and Most Critical are like somewhat relevant figures on the internet. But if you are just like playing with your friends and someone like in the party that you don't know records you, submits it to review, and even if it's nothing, someone just like flags it and like they ban you, there's no recourse. There's no way you're gonna get that fixed. And even worse, like again, like I don't know how factual this is with you know the PlayStation side of things, but I know with Xbox, like if you got banned on Xbox, like they would brick your Xbox, so you would not be able to play with that online anymore. It would just be useless. And it's like that means that, like if I just bought like a $500 console. And then, like, I'm just like I've had a bad day at work. I'm just plopping down. I'm just hanging out with my friends. I might say some bad shit because, hey, we in a friend group say some bad shit. Someone invited a random other person that, like, submitted to moderation. Or maybe one of my friends who submits it for, like, a meme. They're like, I'm going to submit the thing for a meme. And then you get banned and you can't get your console back. Like, that's a $500 thing that's just useless now. Just because, like, someone decided you said a bad thing. That's a really bad standard to go on.
So one of the interesting laws in the UK states that you can record a conversation as long as the public are able to get to the location, right? So we're talking about someone that has nothing to do with the conversation could easily
hear it,
could just walk into the environment, and you know. So interestingly enough, at my I did a lot of research in this because I was having a lot of bother. Actually, no, fuck it. I'll say this out loud because I never did it. So I was tempted to record the conversations held between myself and my supervisor and one of my colleagues while I was working at the university, right? Now, this environment was a lab environment, right? So it wasn't behind a locked door. It was, I mean, you would lock it when you left, you know, so, you know, it was a key lock sort of thing. It wasn't an automatic lock. But anyone of the department could come into the building, it's like into the room, right? So technically, because there are people that have no affiliation to the work being done there, people could, you know, it would count as a public setting. However, if I was in her office and I was recording the conversation, that would be illegal. And I think the term is inadmissible
evidence
in court. Yeah. So basically, you couldn't, you know, use it as evidence against my supervisor because, like, it was a private setting. Yeah. So it's like, if you're out in the street, you're at Starbucks and you're saying nasty stuff and you're being recorded, then, you know, you can use that in the court of law, right? You know, you don't need a warrant or anything like that. If you're in a private setting, you're talking about some nasty stuff like, I'm gonna deal all the drugs, right? Then, you know, as long as there's a court warrant to listen in on the conversation in a private setting, then and record it, then that can be used in a court of law. If, however, like, you know, you were like, I'm gonna get Drew into trouble because he talks about all the drugs, right? And you recorded the conversation, like, that wouldn't be allowed in court. This is the exact same scenario. This is a private conversation held by people that believe they're in a safe space, but it's being moderated by Sony as if they are like, oh no, we're above the law.
But aren't they, like, practically speaking, in a way? Because, like, look at YouTube, like there's freedom of speech and, like, being able to say that, like, you believe certain things. There's freedom of speech and being able to, like I am free to cut off my hair and bake a cake with it, but if I put that on YouTube, they will ban that shit because they don't like that sort of thing. And in that same way, like, PlayStation will argue that, like, if you want to use our service, you agree that you don't say these things, and if you do say bad things, then we will ban you from our service.
So freedom of speech is something entirely different.
Yeah, but like in the sense of like what PlayStation says like if you use our service, you agree that you may be recorded, sort of thing. That like they said like, well, if they don't want this to happen, they agreed to it. So like that's the same thing. Like you can't really argue in court. Like you probably could try to argue in court a ban on YouTube, but no one has ever really tried that because like it probably won't really work. No one can really argue in court like certain community practices of YouTube, community practices of PlayStation, because like it's their platform, you agree to their terms of service, sort of thing.
So I'm just to double check.
Yeah.
Does this not apply to the Count Dankula thing?
That was, I don't remember the specifics, but I think that
So-
wasn't a
so
video, right? Yeah,
basically-
that was made in
It
a
was
video.
a YouTube video.
Yeah.
It was a YouTube video where the guy trained his girlfriend's pug to respond to some anti-Semitic stuff, right?
Yeah.
People found it hilarious. It was, and the guy was arrested under the Digital Communication Act 2008, I think,
Mhm.
or Digital Communication Bill. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
Which basically makes you responsible for anything you say, or do on a public forum, right?
Yeah.
So be it video, tweet, whatever. So if you do anything that's considered hate speech, which is what this was considered, then you are taken to court and have to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Luckily, it turned out that it was only the police that had arrested him. Like, no one took Count Dankula to court, and I think he was let go without any charges or anything like that.
Yeah.
But my point is that YouTube is different, because YouTube, you're putting it out on a public platform. This conversation that you're having in, like, imagine if it was an Among Us game. We're not streaming the Among Us game. It's a private game. It's all offline. And then all of a sudden you get kicked off PlayStation because
you said something.
You swore at me because I convinced everyone to kick you out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
like one thing that I'm curious about, and like I know I wrote it down, but like I'm not entirely sure like how accurate that is. In like the thing where they're like where it's like the party system changed, that the console messaging system and party functionality are now combined together, where you can only invite friends to your party via the message groups. I wonder how that works with like Call of Duty right now, like because like Call of Duty you would have like voice systems, like, or in Warframe, like in Warframe you also have voice comms where you can like talk to your in-party people. Like, does that still work, or does that no longer work, or is that like not facilitated by PlayStation? Because like if you are able to like talk to your party, sort of thing, like PlayStation could say like, well, if you're playing in a public party, I mean, like, actually, I don't know how well that works out, because, like, you could say, well, you could be playing a public party on, like, Call of Duty, and there's, like, 16 people that you don't know, but then again, like, that could also just be a private setting, because no one other than these 16 people can hear that party, so it's, like, how public is that, even? So, yeah, actually, like, if every single, like, if the voice chat can only be heard by people that are actually connected to it, and it's not in a public space, like, actually, like, you could argue that this is, like, yeah, as you said, it's a private setting, and if that's the case, then, like, aren't they breaking the law by recording it?
I don't think they are, based on the fact that they're announcing it in the terms and conditions, but I don't think it's fair that you can't reject it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, oh, terms and conditions, you have to agree to this, but I don't want to agree to this. Yeah. It's like, well, then you can't use our console. Why? Mm-hmm. This is fucking ridiculous. So only something like bad press would actually get them to make it optional or remove it.
Honestly, I don't know why there isn't a setting where it's like, you have two versions of, like, I mean, I think the Twitter CEO talks about this, where they want to create a safe Twitter, and they just want to create Twitter. So, like, if you want to have, and, like, I've argued this for YouTube as well, if you want to have a YouTube experience where it's, like, or an experience on social media where you don't see anyone say anything bad, and where you will never be challenged on your ideas, and where everything will just be cozy and friendly and nice towards you, you can have that, and you can go for it. And if you just want to have, like, the real experience as the real world is, you'll just have that. And so basically what would happen is like if you were to sign up for like the cozy, nice and friendly thing where everything is fine, and like if you were then to go and say bad things and like break the terms of service, like okay, you no longer have access to this like nice and friendly thing, you're just on the rest of the thing. And like that's the same thing in like on YouTube for as well. Like if you are on the nice and friendly thing, you don't see Filthy Frank videos. But if you just go on regular YouTube, you will be able to find them. If you don't like them, just go on the nice and friendly thing. But then like at least have people that want to be able to access it, like that sort of thing. Like I think like I would be much more in favor of that. Like I can see that parents do not want to expose their children, their 18-year-old, 12-year-olds that are playing Call of Duty. Which is entirely like only played by 18 and up. But I can see that like parents might not want to expose their children to people being rude in chat. But at the same time, it's like, yo, if we're all like as a friend group just like hanging out and we just want to like throw mean shit at each other because like that's what we do and everyone's fine with it, like who the fuck cares, you know? And like that's the same thing that I find with censoring in videos. Like what is the problem when we're saying the words fuck? It's like we all know what fuck means. It's like, oh, it hurts us so much, we need to censor it. It's like, god damn it, you dumb fucks.
I'm just thinking, like this is actually Sony's gigantic ploy to report on kids. So it's like, you know, some kid is like constantly swearing at like too high a pitch for regular humans to hear, and all of a sudden the PlayStation 5 turns around and is like, Spank Bank 69, you have been reported to your parents. And then like little Timmy's mum just goes like, Timmy! It's like, fuck! For too much swearing. Can you just imagine that?
Actually, it would be better if like the console like has microphones, which it probably has, and then like it will just listen in, and we'll be able to determine who is in the room. And then like at some point when the mom comes into the room, it's like, hello, are you by any chance this console user's mother? Is like, yes. Do you like? Are you aware that the console user's name is SpankBank69? No. Have you so fun? And then like we have a set of interesting recordings of your son, which you might like to hear. And then just like it just plays it back. Would you like to return the console to PlayStation?
Yeah, it's like, no, your son and or daughter. It's like we cannot tell the difference.
Yeah,
because they're too high pitched. Anyway, should we move on to the next thing?
Yeah, let's do it. I'd love a better username filtering, though. Honestly, yeah, like. See, I like the thing that I don't have a problem when it comes to people wanting a safer environment sort of thing, especially for their kids. Like, sure, like if you want to moderate that, go for it. But I do hate when like people want to like make the world an entire like safe place by like just rejecting anything that they don't like. And like that's what you see with the platforms these days, where it's like, oh, we don't like that people say like you say some words in like the English language, like an English moderator would ban it and a Scottish moderator would just be like, well, that's just two friends having fun. It's like, well, if you want to be concerned, you don't want your kids to hear that, it's like, fine, you know, I'm totally fine. Or you personally don't want to hear that, like that's fine too. But if
I'll be back in 2 seconds. Yeah, keep talking, I'll be back.
Don't worry about it. But if I want to like say it among with my friends, or if I don't have a problem listening to it, I'm kind of like, yo, like what is the big deal, you know? And like I know the Twitter CEO said this, like they want to use a two-system platform. If more platforms could initiate that, like that would be great, because I really really dislike it when videos like when channels like Filthy Frank get like deleted. Well, not the channel, but videos from it get deleted. It's like, I can get that's entirely not people's cup of tea. I remember when I first saw that shit, like that was weird, seeing people like make the cakes that they did in the cake trilogy. Like that was weird as fuck. And like it was definitely for me an acquired taste, because I just it was just the craziness of it, and like compared to like the perfect vloggers sort of thing, like how perfect everyone's life was towards like the random ass nasty shit that was portrayed by this set of YouTubers. Like I can understand that people might not want to see it. I can understand that, but like I don't think that gives people like the right to be like, oh, we're just gonna like, we don't like that, go away. It's like, well, you know, yeah. There's a lot of hate related to username that get through. Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is also like at the same time, recently, like, we wanted to do Among Us together with like a bunch of people on stream, and we wanted to like do it in the Warframe YouTuber style. So like we named each other like after Warframe YouTubers. I wanted to name myself after MCIK, or as he was more commonly known, MCI Gay. But I couldn't do that because Among Us doesn't accept that. and it also doesn't accept MCI Guy because it doesn't accept Guy. So let's say that your name is literally Guy. It's like, well, you're fucked. And it's like, I'm like, yo, like, I'm not bothered by it at all. So like, if you could just have like a list of like usernames that you could exclude yourself, or like, I don't want to see these usernames, and you never be paired with them, doesn't that solve the problem? Because I just hate it. Like I can 100% understand that some people don't want to see or don't want to be in contact with certain things. I can entirely appreciate that, and I don't want to like deprive people from that opportunity. But at the same time, I also very much dislike it when people are deprived of opportunities of things which they genuinely enjoy, which are completely like unharmless or completely harmless in them enjoying it. It's like people enjoying a Filthy Frank video, people enjoying like a nice bit of bantering or colorful bantering between themselves as friends. It's like, no one gets hurt by that. But still, like, they're banning it because other people just like don't like that. Star Trouble says, why would they release this news before their console releases? Wouldn't this hurt sales?
Oh, have you not heard about the whole what's it called? Oh, God, what was the Xbox One thing where, you know, it registers the game to your console and you can't share it with your friends? I can't remember what it's called.
Oh yeah, that was great. When the Xbox One was announced, that they said like, oh, if you buy a game and you put a disc in the console, that will be registered to your thing. You can never like sell it or put it in another console. Yeah, they.
Oh, not only that, but like it would use the camera thing on it as well. That like it would check to see if more than 2 people were in the room.
Oh
And
my
if there
god.
were, it wouldn't play the game. Oh no, it was the DVDs. It was DVDs. Like if there were more than 2 people. What the shit? Seriously. Anyway.
Anyway.
Should we move on to the next
But yeah,
thing?
let's move on to the next topic. Let's see here. I think it's this one right here. Okay, so Among Us is updating the game in order to prevent hacking. So, with the recent rise in the Among Us popularity, which, like you said, were like 130,000% popularity increase or something, recently, they have also seen people starting to hack lobbies in Among Us to get instant kills, screw up the lobby, or just like promote their socials. In order to counter this, Innerslav, the developer of Among Us, has pushed an emergency update in which they also announced that they were working on an account system with reward opportunities to bring down the hacking of the games. Until then, they recommend to play in private lobbies with people you trust to like combat the hacking. In fact, one of the hackers of Among Us, where like they promote their socials in, claimed that they have made many hacks available, and they were also interviewed by Eurogamer and Kotaku. And when they were interviewed, they showed very little compassion, and they were kind of proud of themselves that they were able to like spread their YouTube channel around. Basically, people would join into public lobbies, and then like the chat would be spammed with like, check out this YouTube channel. After this interview, in which like they showed very little compassion, this hacker was doxxed, and his information and home address were made public, including his name and his phone number.
Oh, big oof!
Big fucking oof.
Big fuck.
Yeah, just don't hack. Don't fuck with people. Anyway, like the thing that I kind of want to bring up is, first of all, good on Among Us for like trying to like making it better so people don't hack. I've experienced like one hack on a stream where people like did the instant kill things, and I kind of just say, how pathetic must you be when all your life has accumulated to a point where you're like, my pinnacle of history is hacking an Among Us game. It's like I can vaguely understand when it comes to like there was recently like a row with like a competitive Apex where like in competitive Apex someone like used a bot to like get kills to like get up a high rank. I can understand that, you know, it's shit. You're not a great person for doing, but I can understand because you want to get a higher rank. I can see people hacking in Call of Duty to get more experience points, get more weapons select. I can see that. Among Us, okay, there is no stats, there is no increase in points, there is no things you can unlock. The entire point of the game is that you hang out with friends and you figure out who the fucking imposter is. But what is the point? What are you doing? Like, oh my god, I just find it so pathetic. I just don't understand how that can be in any way satisfying other than someone that's like, I'm just so shit at killing people. I'm just gonna go and hack them. It's like, I don't get it. I really don't.
Michelle's being so sus right now.
I am.
No, like I get where you're coming from. I honestly don't get why people bother cheating stuff in the game. It's really weird. I've seen loads of people that have given themselves like, I don't know, helicopters in Grand Theft Auto and all sorts of weird, and they just instantly get bored of the game. It's like,
yeah,
well, you only have yourself to blame. You know, we were having fun, you know, and Now you've just, you've spoiled it for yourself and others. What was the fucking point?
But it's like, even with a single player game, I can kind of see where it's like, oh, you just want to try this weird thing. It's like, oh, I give myself a helicopter, fly around this game, whatever, But Among Us, yeah, you can go play with bots, and like that's the exact same experience you have as like if you're hacking, like killing things, like killing actually in Among Us without like the gameplay, and like figuring out who the imposter is without like the actual gameplay. Like, it's literally pointless. Like, you win nothing, you lose nothing. There's no experience. There's nothing. It's just like, right, you've won the game. Now what?
Yeah, I remember playing the original StarCraft game when I was a lot younger. I would have been, God, 12, 13, something like that. And I didn't like the Zerg campaigns. I just, so that was the middle missions out of the whole thing. What I ended up doing was just cheating, and just like the last 3 missions, I just skipped them. I was so bored. And I went straight to the Protoss campaign, and then I just did the Protoss campaign instead. I didn't bother skipping those or cheating those. I just, did them properly.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting how people get different sense of satisfaction of like just ruining things.
Yeah, well, it's just so weird because I mean, like I had a Nintendo DS in which like I could apply some cheats as well. And it was like, well, you could like, because like basically a friend of mine had like this DS where you could like bring special Pokemon, legendary Pokemon, like you could spawn them and like you could like treat them. And the only thing that I did was like ruin your own game. Like, but the thing with like with Among Us was that like we had a game where like we played, and like I always had my Among Us thing open when I was streaming because I figured anyone that wants to play just wants to play, and like what's the bother about having anyone to want to try to play. But they would just like instantly teleport one of the imposters to like another person, like have them kill the other person. It was like, to which the imposter, like, I didn't even do that. It's like, okay, so now we got to restart the game. It's like nothing was won. Like, we didn't even hear him laugh. There wasn't even a funny. It's like, I just don't get it. So like, I'm glad that they're just striking down on it. And I'm not saying like anyone should be doxxed. I think it's like not a good thing, but I do think like what comes around goes around. And if you try and spam your YouTube socials and ruin people's games, I have very little compassion for you if at the end of the day you get like hit back. So yeah.
Cool. Next thing.
Let's see. I wonder if we have everything. I think that we have most of the things. We have Twitch, we have Among Us, we have Big Brother Sony, we have, oh yeah, of course, we have Crucible and Marvel's Avengers. Your topic. Cool. Hell yeah, dude.
So I think this is the last thing of this episode. So I just want to raise some interesting points and get your take on it. So on October 9th, Amazon announced the impending shutdown of the recently released game Crucible.
Ooh.
Right? Crucible was originally went into open beta on the 21st of May 2020. It then subsequently went back into closed beta on the 1st of July 2020. So it was out for like a whole month.
Ooh.
Right? Crucible was designed to be host multiple different PvP genres, ranging from Battle Royale, Team Deathmatch, and a MOBA-inspired mode. Right? However, when the game went back into closed beta, the developers, relentless, removed the Battle Royale and the Team Deathmatch modes so they could focus on the one mode everyone was enjoying. Unfortunately, enjoying it is putting it loosely. With a Metacritic score of 4.2 and a very mixed opinions on Steam, it's no wonder the game got shut down, or is getting shut down, right? So, really interesting. On October 8th, Square Enix's Avengers game hit below 1,000 concurrent players across all the game's platforms, causing unprecedented matchmaking issues. Square Enix states that they're listening to the player base and will take feedback under advisement to improve the way things are. However, on the 15th of October, the game's first DLC, which was supposed to be... an announcement was made. The game's first DLC, which was supposed to be released later this month, has been delayed. All right? With the recent trend of games being rushed to completion and the act as a game as a service and act. I'm not quite sure what I was trying to say there. More than right. So with the recent trend of games being rushed to completion, and with games like Avengers coming out as a game as a service rather than just a single player experience, do you feel that more games are likely to follow suit with abysmal launches, and are games hanging on by a thread like Avengers going to get shut down like Crucible, where a game only lived for 6 months? So how do you feel about this recent trend in video games?
I think that it's we discussed a little bit before a week ago. So like I'll kind of like start what we went on there and like add a little bit. So I think that as we discussed, that live service is something which like came up in the recent years. So like I think that Warframe was definitely one of the pioneers of live service. Destiny came a little bit later, but like also was one of the first that really adopted this idea of like, let's do a live service. And we saw the mobile market adopt this thing as well, where like you go free to play, or you go like low price, or like even as Anthem go full price, and then like do this live service thing where like the game will stay on for like a long time. For microtransactions, like you can actually like get a lot of money, and we've seen cases where people got definitely a lot of money. So I think that's only to be expected that once the more mainstream jumps in it, and I think that definitely when we saw like Fallout 76 come out with like, it's a live service, and Marvel vs. Avengers right now, and like Anthem, when we saw like this live service idea like mainstream, I think definitely we're expecting to see some failures, because anyway, like people are gonna try it because for the sake of trying it, just like we see with Battle Royales, people are gonna try Battle Royales for the sake of Battle Royales, and there's definitely gonna be some notable failures. I do also think that alongside this thing where like, hey, there's a new genre and everyone's going to try it and everything, and then like it's all going to fail. Well, not it's all going to fail, but like there's going to be some failures. I think that's also an interesting element of like the live service business, is how well it ages. And we've talked about that before. I think about a year ago when we talked about a Warframe topic, and it's kind of like how well do these things age, and what's their progression sort of thing, because previously there was this thing called franchise fatigue, and what the idea was of franchise fatigue was that if a game can have like a first instance and a second instance and a part 2, a part 3, but at a certain point like people just get bored with the franchise. Look at Star Wars, for example. Like there's 9 movies or 10 or 11. Like I've already dropped out, and I think many people have dropped out. So like they'll continue to make them, but like people will drop off. And like how does this go for endless live services? And I think that if you take a look at games like Warframe, like Destiny, I'm not saying they're dying, far from it, but I do believe that there's a lot of people that have been born into these franchises and that are leaving, and like how do these franchises keep up? And I think that that's something which hasn't really been proven yet. So like it's very much how does the attitude of live services change among the general public, and then people that like myself, I believe, have gotten a little bit tired of live services. Actually, like that's a separate topic. So let me phrase it correctly. So, as I said, it's like first of all, because it's a new genre, like we're gonna see some failures. That's to be expected. Secondly, because like this thing has been running around for a long time, how does franchise fatigue come into play? We don't really know that. And thirdly, how that ties together is that people such as myself, who have experienced franchise fatigue with like a live service, are not really keen to jump in on a live service, because I know that like, I mean, Genshin is here, but like I'm not here to stick around for it for a long time, because like I kind of want something that ends right now, because I'm kind of tired of like 7 years of like endless live service. And people that really enjoy their live service also have already found their live service, like because people have found their Warframes and their Destinies. So I think that the market has shrunk a lot. And because of that, like, and these games being in development for years as well, it's not like these games are made yesterday. We're going to see a lot of games where like they're going to be pushing like the minimum to see whether it catches on. And because the market is so saturated right now, it's just going to be like, does it make it or not? And if it doesn't make it, we're just going to pull the plug, because otherwise it's going to be like way too expensive, especially when it comes to Marvel vs. Avengers. I will not be surprised if that dies soon, because like literally like being on like 1,000 players concurrent max during a day, that's like you can't really run a game like that. So that's the way that I feel about it. Like, yeah, it's kind of like a saturated market sort of thing, which is plagued by a bit of franchise fatigue, and studios trying to keep it like profitable. So what are your thoughts on that?
So I think it's really interesting, because I feel your comment of franchise fatigue is really interesting. Do you know how many? Do you know how many Call of Duty games there are?
Many, many, many. I don't even know. They're releasing another one.
Right, including the one that's coming out this year. There's 15. Right.
Damn.
Sorry. No. There's 16. However, there's 15 concurrent years of Call of Duty. So the first one came out in 2003, then the second one came out in 2005.
Yep.
And then since then, there's been a new one every year. Right.
Wow.
Do I think franchise fatigue exists? Totally, 100%. Like no doubt in my mind. However, I do feel that more and more studios and publishers, right, or publishers rather, they are trying to get their Titanic, right? They're trying to get their blockbuster movie, right, for as little production value as physically possible, right? And I feel that massively detracts from the final product, right? I think if Marvel Avengers was just a single player game and the resources that they spent trying to make it a game as a service, I say try only because the game's failing.
Yeah.
I think the game could have been better. But instead, they shot themselves in the foot by announcing the game as a service, as well as saying that Spider-Man was going to be exclusive on the PlayStation 4. I genuinely think that had a large negative press reaction, the PR reaction from for the game, right? Before the game was even released.
Yeah.
Games like Crucible had no definitive shape or structure, and they were trying to shoehorn stuff together. What was the other one by Riot Games that came out this year that seems to be like Valorant? I want to say Valorant.
Is Valorant doing bad?
I've not heard of it in fucking months. It came up. It was like, then the pricing for it was insanely expensive. Like it would cost, was it $80 to get like a skin bundle, and like where everything was just blue. And then people went, nah, fuck. Like, I've not heard of Valorant in, like, fucking forever. Like,
it is currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the 10th most popular game on Twitch.
Yeah, fair, but that means fuck all to me.
Yeah.
All right? Because apparently Warframe's dying because of its position in Twitch.
Oh,
right?
no,
Which is far from the...
Yeah. It's time because the community or other things are like much to 5 parts. But yeah, no, I can't find players charts right here.
Yeah.
Player counts.
I'd be very interested to know like what's the active player base to Valorant. But regardless of that, it's really interesting how so many games are trying to become more than what they actually. I wouldn't be surprised if Overwatch 2 comes out with a Battle Royale mode. Would not be surprised.
Could be. I wonder how popular Battle Royales still are, because like I feel like less are being released. Like I think they had their peak a couple years ago, but I wouldn't be surprised if they come with a Battle Royale. Yeah, I really want to play. Ghost of Tsushima the update, because I know that what is it? Skill Up said that like this is literally like what if Anthem or any of these live services that want to make live services came out like this, that would have been amazing. And this game isn't even trying to be a live service, like, so like I want to try that. But so far, like I've really enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima, so like I do think there are some games being made that are like made by like developers that actually want to make good things. I also think that like you're gonna see in any creative franchise, you're gonna see people trying to cheese it for as little production value as possible. To be honest, like Crucible, the thing that I think Crucible really had going against is like it had no identity. And as far like I think I've heard people talk about Crucible, but every single time I heard people talk about Crucible, I thought people were talking about like Destiny's PvP mode, which is also called Crucible. It's like I literally thought people were talking about Destiny. I didn't even know it was a separate game until like I heard I was dying. I was like, okay, so that was a separate game. That probably doesn't really do them much favors, sort of thing. When it comes to a little bit of like the franchise fatigue, like I think it's really interesting. Like as you said, there have been many Call of Duties. That being said, I've not played all the Call of Duties, because like honestly, like I played about 4 of them and I dropped out. So like I think that not everyone is going to be playing all the Call of Duties, and if they do, they're going to be like there's going to be people that will watch everything and buy everything. But I think the overwhelming majority of the people that play Call of Duties will not buy every single one of them. And that's like curious, like how does this franchise fatigue, which we usually found with like following up games, how does that translate over into live services, which will continue to go on forever? Because basically what you have with like let's say a Warframe, it's like we've kind of criticized Warframe for like being very wide sort of thing, and you can kind of choose what you want to do. But at the same time, you could also argue that like, hey, you know, if I want to like play Call of Duty, I'm not forced to go for all 16 Call of Duties. I can just pick up one and go play it. They're also very identical, so that kind of helps. But like, you're not forced to play for all of it. Whereas with a live service, like you kind of have all of it there, and you kind of, if you want to play for all of it, you have to play for all of it, and that could be like 16 years worth of content. And is that still something that can be reasonably expected from people? And like Destiny probably has said no, and that's why they deleted a bunch of quests, removed a bunch of quests and faulted them. Or like they're still gonna do that, or they did like a little while ago, where they got rid of like their first couple of DLCs, which is weird. Like people get mad at that. But like, can you imagine if you just want to play Call of Duty and you got to play for 16 Call of Duties? At the same time, it's also like ruining the game. Because like, why do we do this? Because like, this was the game. Like, let's imagine that Warframe removed the second Dreams. Like, what we're there? Like, that'd be weird. So like, I don't think it maps 1-to-1 on it, but I think that's a very interesting concept, which I haven't really seen accurately being like. I haven't really seen anyone like really grapple with it, and I don't think I
have
Okay.
World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
So World of Warcraft recently grappled with this,
Mm-hmm.
where we've got 15 years worth of content.
Oof.
And what they have done is they have allowed players to choose which expansion to level through. So what they've done, so in the latest expansion called Boats for Azeroth, sorry, no, it's Battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
But Boats for Azeroth, they had the maximum player level get up to 120, right?
Yeah.
With the upcoming release of Shadowlands, right? World of Warcraft's, TBC, Wrath, Kata, Mop, WoD, Legion, Boats. World of Warcraft's 8th expansion. They've squished everything down. So everyone's levels have been diminished comparatively to a maximum of 50.
Mm-hmm.
With the next 10 levels being in Shadowlands, right? So what they've done is they've allowed players to say, right, choose which expansion you want to play to level from 1 to 50. Sorry, 10 to 50,
Yeah.
right? So the first 10 levels are like the tutorial area, maybe 20 levels, whatever.
No.
First 10 to 20 levels is the tutorial area. Then what's called 10 to 50 is you choosing what expansion you want to do. So you can choose any one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because I've done that with a friend, you know. So we've chosen Mr. Pandaria to level through, and it's great. It's fun. It's how, you know, you don't have to do all the different expansions to catch up. You just choose which one you want to do.
How did that go over with the community? Because I can imagine that, like, if like any other game that I've played in, not to mention one, would say like, hey, anyone that's played from the start and has like gotten to like this level of a 120 or something, you said, now is going to get their level like sized down to 50, and we're going to get rid of. We're gonna allow people to choose which ones they want to do and which ones they don't want to do. I could imagine that could lead to responses of people saying, well, I grinded so hard so many years to get to 120, and now you're gonna half it. And people saying, oh, but the content and the story and the original experience. Like, I can imagine like communities could be upset about that. But how did that go over with of the WoW community? Like,
I think I can't really talk on the WoW community's behalf because I'm not nearly as close to the WoW community as I am with games like Warframe. However, I can easily imagine what you have just said is an accurate depiction of some minority of the platform, however, or the player base. I, however, personally am fine with it. You know, it doesn't detract from my previous experience, right? Like my experience of playing World of Warcraft during Wrath of the Lich King, WoW's second expansion, you know, is different from when I played it during its fourth expansion, Mists of Pandaria. So the experience is always continuously evolving, and that's one of the reasons why I feel that if Warframe wanted to get players to the end of the game, they could just truncate so much of the beginning. Oh, big whoop they fucking do. People are whinging that, oh, you're diminishing your undermining my game experience. Oh, fuck off. You know, who cares if we're undermining your experience? We're looking out for the new player, right?
Well, I do wonder something about like game preservation sort of thing, which is like weird with live services, because like one of the things like one of the things where like, yes, like I am all in for if you want your game to be more streamlined, where it's like, hey, we want new players to like get there quicker sort of thing. Like I don't want anyone to be like, I don't want me to be the one standing in between someone like having to force their way through so much hours of content or not, because I want to do that sort of thing. But when it came to some random ass podcast sort of thing that was celebrating their 365 episode, that was looking back towards like an old piece of content that they once made, where they spent their first hour gossiping about like, oh my god, the lighting in that room was so beautiful, it was so mysterious, and what I would give to like walk around there again, it was so cool, and look at the lighting, and oh my god, it's so nice. I was watching that, I'm like, yeah, I mean, let's say that I really enjoy like this game for the experience of going through, let's say, the star chart towards like this point where like, which I kind of want to shorten down because, you know, it's kind of boring, it's kind of old, and there's a lot more cool things to discover, and we don't want new players to go for it. Like, I can 100% understand that, but like the moment that you take that away, like you can't get that back sort of thing. It's not like I can download or like I can buy an old version of that game where I can play that anymore. So I feel that when it comes to like deleting content, I'm fine with making it optional sort of thing. But like if it actually gets deleted or it actually gets taken out, especially with live services, like you can actually just like alienate a big part of your consumer base. That's not saying like, oh, the game will die, because a lot of times people say like, oh, you'll alienate your consumer base as like some sort of threat, like your game will die. Probably won't, but it will just like make a lot of people sad that will like be like, oh, I can't do this anymore, and I really enjoyed this, and like this was my one game which like really scratched my niche for this, and I really like this, and now I can't do it anymore. No matter how much money I spend, I will never be able to get that anymore. And I do think it's kind of sad sort of thing, because, you know,
I agree. I don't like the fact that like I've heard people tell me that they've given up on Destiny 2 because of the fact that they're removing content. I think there's a multitude of reasons why they're removing the content. One of which is that they're struggling to maintain it. Fair enough, right? But I do not think you know, oh, it's old content is an acceptable reason to remove it, right? Like, as I said, one of my favorite expansions was Wrath of the Lich King. That's the second expansion of World of Warcraft. If they turn around and said, we're going to remove this, it's like, whoa, hold your horses. But likewise, if they turn around and said, like, oh, we're going to remove Warlords of Draenor from World of Warcraft, we're like, yeah, okay, go, you know. So it's really obviously selective and personal and things. I think the important thing is to give people choice, right? Don't remove hurdles. Just say, right, you can either choose those hurdles or these hurdles. It's up to you which ones you want to do, right? And again, that's something that, you know, maybe Warframe could do that. Maybe Warframe could have a, you know, short path or long path to going through the star chart, to the gamer journey or whatever.
Yeah, play it.
Yeah, the idea.
Choose your intensity of lighting sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like, yeah, it's really weird, because like part of me feels that when you look at games, how do I word this? So the weird thing with Warframe is that like it's not like Fall Guys, or it's not like Among Us, or it's not like Call of Duty, where like the game isn't centered around like a gameplay experience. It's also like it kind of features a story and features a lore. So it's not a game where you just like jump in, jump out of. It's also a game that's trying to tell you something. If like that makes sense, like, or it feels like that. It's not necessarily like it. So like it also has like this jump in, jump out sort of thing. But it's also a game that's trying to tell you something. Just like Genshin Impact is also trying to tell you a story and gives you this promise of like we're guiding you somewhere. And like if you play a game that you feel is like telling you a story, like I very much liken it to like a game like Nier Automata, where like that is like one of the pinnacles of like a game telling you a story and piecing it perfectly. Where it's like every single moment within like Nier Automata has been like thought of, like we kind of want to take this long, we kind of want to take this long, we want to have like this experience, and we want you to experience this before this, because this is important that you know this before this happens, and we want to make you experience it again, because like maybe you might like it, but we thought it was pretty good, and whether that was good or not, like we can debate about, but like everything was like made with an intent. And like if your game has that, and there's like an intent of like going through a certain place in order to experience a certain thing at a certain time, because like that works for the story, then like taking it out, then that's like really weird for a game that's like trying to tell a story to be like, oh, that's no longer important. It's kind of like you're reading Harry Potter, and it's like, well, you can just like throw the second and third book away because they weren't really important, but just like read the 8th and 9th book. It's like, well, that's kind of weird, isn't it? Though like I wouldn't be surprised if that would happen. But like at the same time, like live service aren't really story games at the same time, because like that's not really their thing, or like the thing that a lot of people like. So like that's a really weird thing when it comes to me with like live service games that are like also like kind of story games or portraying a story. Like if Fortnite comes out and deletes a season, or like starts a new season, deletes a map, it's kind of like, well, whatever, you know. If Fall Guys, I've not played it really, but like if they were to like delete maps or throw new things, like, oh, whatever, because like there's no real story in there sort of thing. But when you like play this game, which feels like there's a progression path sort of thing, and like you're moving for the universe and you're exploring it, it's so weird to like see something being cut out, because like it feels as though this game is purposely like making it in such a way that like the best way to experience it is to experience it right from the start, right towards the end. So like the way that Warframe was, let's say Warframe for this example, like I think it's like approaching 8 years long. Like the perfect way to experience Warframe was like start at like for year one and experience like for 8 years long, because like that's the story it wants to tell. Which like I know it's not necessarily the case, but like that's a really weird thing, which like I think, but which I can understand people would get like mighty worked up about, because they're like, well, isn't this like what the game is supposed to bring? And if that's not what the game is bringing, then like why am I playing this? Because to me it felt a lot like a story game, and now I've been like misled.
No,
I don't know whether misled's the right word, but
no, I get where you're coming from, and I think that we kind of have two polar examples right now. One, World of Warcraft, which, you know, some people say, oh, it's not very, no, World of Warcraft is very story driven, right? As long as you read the quests, you're getting the plot, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the other one, which I question is story driven, but you know, some people argue it is, which is Destiny, right? So one, they broke up the different paths of progression. The other, they just removed content, right? And I think it's up to which way Warframe want to take it, if they do take it at all. Personally, I think that we will start seeing a squish to level mastery rank 30. I think relatively well in the not too distant future, because people have finally made it to MR 30. Like, are they really gonna make it so that players have to play, I don't know, 100 odd hours before they can hit MR 30? They can't possibly be that insane, right? It's interesting, but I think either DE will come up with their own way to do this whole squished single player narrative, or I think they'll lean towards the World of Warcraft way, where, you know, things become more optional.
Yeah. Or Master Rank 30 is like, or there's two other things. Either Master Rank 30 like just goes to 31, there's nothing special there, and it's like, haha, you expect something, but there's nothing. It's 31, 32, because we know how to count beyond 30. Or it like prestiges your account and you just lose everything. It's like, good job, you made it to 30. Now do it again.
Oh no, we genuinely asked that as a question on 10 o'clock 364. How would you feel if your account got reset? Some people said, like 10% said that they didn't care. 90% said that they would not like that at all. No one said that they would be on board for it. Like, you'd have to be mental to be happy with your account getting reset.
Yeah, no, that was more of a bit of a meme. Anyway,
Yeah.
overall, do you think we're good to moving on to questions?
Yeah, I think the final point I want to make
Mm-hmm.
is I think we're going to start seeing more and more games these days coming out with a focus to being a game as a service, rather than just being a complete single player narrative and things like that. Like, you know, being more than it should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, much like Anthem, Marvel Avengers, Crucible. You know, I think what you call it, some people's eyes are going to be bigger. Sorry, some developers' eyes or publishers' eyes are going to be bigger than their stomach, or their mouth or whatever. And we're just going to see more and more games these days. They're just going to start up. Oh, it only lived for 1 month. It's gone now. Never mind. You know,
I think
which is
that
gonna be sad.
I think that like we've always seen games like these, like when it came to like the very first like games that came out with like the Atari era and shit like that, like it was all a bunch of garbage. And then like when, well, not all of it was a bunch of garbage, but it was a bunch of garbage around there.
Yeah, a lot of it was.
And then Nintendo came around, and like the thing that Nintendo really sold was like Nintendo was like their seal of quality sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've also seen with like the Wii era how many shovelware there was with Wii, how many games that like your grandma would buy you, and like you'd get that, and it was just like you could just throw that in the bin because like it was garbage. How many shit there was in like the Nintendo DS. Like there will always be like with every single genre there will be people trying to push for the bare minimum. And the beautiful thing about live servers, if you want to push for the bare minimum, is promises. You can sell things on promises because live services, like you don't have to ship it. It's like, well, we're making a roadmap. It's like you can actually like make half a game, then spend 2 days like drawing up a roadmap with like Photoshop or something, and then be like, that's our game. And it's like, pay us $60. And then just like wait 2 months until like either everyone forgets about it, and then like just say to people, oh, the numbers are too low. It's so sad. We worked so hard. Goodbye, everyone. And you just go, you go home with like your money. It's like, yeah, like that's the worry with live services, that people like buy in on it with promises, and I hope more people are seeing through it. Then again, like I have to catch myself on that too, because like when we were arguing on Genshin, I was saying like, well, maybe these first 2 areas are new player areas, and then the other areas are going to be harder. It's like, well, that's a promise that's not in there right now. So Genshin doesn't have 5 areas right now. It's only got 2. So yeah. Do you want to move to questions?
I think the moral of the story is everyone should just play Nier Automata. Yes, let's move on to questions.
All right. Good question right here. Mika says, do you think Warframe is actually fixable? Because I believe all those things that of the potential the game has, but do you think they will ever be able to achieve it?
Well, like you're saying fixable as if it's broken. It's I wouldn't say Warframe is broken. It's just not what you want it to be. For example, the tutorial system. Yeah, the tutorial system is fixable, but it's not broken either. It's just not adequate.
I think it's also very subjective into what people want. So like, so like, as I said, for me, like I went into Warframe. Well, initially I went into Warframe, and it was like just a game where you just like played missions, but then it became like a story thing to me. But like some people just really don't care about the story, and they just play because they can play with friends, or they play just for the fashion. So like, the potential of Warframe is only there in like what you see for it, and I think that that's one thing, which is go ahead.
No, you can.
Yeah, the problem with like the potential of Warframe is everyone has their own vision of like the potential that Warframe has, and some might overlap a little bit. But I think that if you want to reach a true potential of Warframe, it's like, well, it can't never reach that because that's so far away, spread from each other, that like it's so different.
So one of the really interesting things that I've been receiving like on Twitter and things is like, oh, when are D gonna fix the grind of Warframe? It's like, what do you mean fix the grind? It's always been a grind. It's a fucking, you farm up the parts, you make like the core of Warframe's not changed.
Yeah,
you just gotten to the end and you're realizing that's all you've been doing. Like So it's the same thing with Deimos. It's like I felt with Deimos, like I've seen open worlds again and again, but there's also people that really like it. And maybe their potential for Warframe is like the best potential for Warframe is that everything has an open world and everything is an open world. It's like, well, if that's the thing that you really enjoyed and that's your top potential for Warframe, that's really hard to mix. When it comes to like making Warframe fixable,
I can understand that, like, for some people, they might have felt like the game has alienated them. Like, the game has changed definitely, and like taken a different direction. Especially like if you go back to like some old footage, maybe there's like some sort of podcast that's been going on for like 7 years or something, where you can go back to earlier episodes and you can see like how the game looked like in the very early days, and you can see that has definitely changed. Like, there is design decision made and like which way to go. And there's definitely been ways in which like that's changed the experience of the game for people to a point where like they didn't enjoy it anymore. As like for those people, the game is definitely broken. I know for some people, like the game was broken the moment Tenno were introduced, and they were like, "Oh my god, I hate being like, I hate seeing like these kids. I don't like this. I'm gonna quit." I know people quit on that. It's like, well, yeah, but like you need to make decisions at some point. And I know that some people are gonna be like leaving this channel as well because they see podcasts or they see some things and like, oh, the channel's broken. At the same time, I also think it's like some experience, because honestly, like the thing that I feel, especially when it comes to Twitch streaming, is that like Twitch streaming, like the Twitch streaming that I've experienced, is that like I sometimes miss the Warframe days, but I can't really go back to it, sort of thing. In the sense of, we've been talking about it like with our community a little bit more, where it's like, hey, one of the things that we've seen like a lot of Warframe creators experience is that like if they went away from Warframe, a lot of people would leave them, and like we didn't have that on our channel. Like, we've had some people leave, but like no majority at all, and I haven't even seen a comment of people saying like, oh, please go back to Warframe. Why the fuck you're not doing Warframe anymore? Because like I feel a lot of us like that are around are developing human beings that at some point after years of playing a game also like see that there's other games out there and like maybe have experienced all of it. And what I also find is like a lot of things that attracted me to Warframe or like the newness of it, or like experiencing things with like people that I met and I became friends with. Like, these friends, like a bunch of them aren't there anymore. Like, yes, like Xeno's there, Joey's there, Xandy is there, but there's also a whole bunch of people that aren't there anymore. And like this experience of like, oh, can we make a better build, or can we do this? Like, I can't get that anymore because I've already gone through it. I've already gone through these motions. So, like, things have changed. Not necessarily with the game. Well, maybe they have with the game, but like, if you like, can you fix them? Like, I don't know. I don't think that like some things like just change to a point where like it's really hard to fix them because so many things have changed, and getting back to that point in time that you might want to get back to is really hard, if not impossible.
No, I completely agree, and I think that it's just like the quote unquote the evolution of the Simpsons. Like, when the Simpsons first started airing and things, it was more wacky and zany, whereas over time the characters sort of grew and evolved, and the narratives grew and changed, and so on and so forth. So I feel that, yeah, Warframe may have started out being the grim, dark adventure of a lifetime, as like Loz would put it, but over time, slowly, it led away from that. And it's all right to lose interest in something, right? You know, like, I lost interest in Game of Thrones. I think Game of Thrones is a pile of shit. I don't know how people can like it, but that's my opinion. If you don't like Warframe, that's perfectly fine. Anyway, should we move on to
let's see
any further questions?
Mika also asks, okay, let me ask you this. After playing it however long you did, would you recommend it to a friend?
Warframe, fuck yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, like I would say, like, for like if you're looking for like a free to play game which you can sink like a lot of hours into, which is like kind of like a quick thing to play, Warframe is fine. It probably has changed like the way that I would recommend it, because like Warframe has also changed itself. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I would not recommend it for like the raids anymore. I would not recommend it for like the long survivals anymore. It's like, yo, if you just want like a quick in and out sort of game where you can stick around with for years, go for it. It's definitely not bad.
I still love the core of Warframe. Like, I absolutely, you know, the movement, the gunplay, so on and so forth. Still absolutely fucking love it. Yeah. Would I recommend anyone to play Destiny 2? Not a chance in hell, right? Like, you know, I've not sunk nearly as much time into Destiny 2 compared to Warframe, but I just never enjoyed Destiny 2. I still enjoy Warframe.
Yeah. Let's see. Another question. Actually, I have a question for you, Drew. Is it Digital Extremes?
Oh, fuck off. Fuck off. He's referencing this most recent... So, we had the 365th episode of 10 o'clock come out. Thanks, you two, for releasing it 14 hours early. You know, it came out yesterday. And Like, fuck, I was so green behind the ears. I was so shit. I was like, fucking hell. The first episode is so goddamn cringe.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I actually say, oh, is it Digital Extreme? Yeah, I'm like, oh my fucking god, I could have at least looked up the fucking name.
Hey, we're making a podcast about this game. What's the developer called? But every first episode is gonna be cringe as fuck, and like I think we should do it maybe at like episode 99 for the FrameCast. We should maybe go back to like our first episode sort of thing, because like we don't do our specials at like the 50 or 100 mark. It's like we did our anime cast at like 49, because reasons.
Well, that wasn't my fault.
I mean, I'm happy with it because like it's so standard to do like round numbers. But I mean, actually, like there's also like that episode also has some good old cringe from me. I'm happy you guys didn't go on, didn't find it.
Well,
because I actually I remember like this was in my super hype Warframe days. I had like this one thing where it's like, oh my god, like I just discovered 10 o'clock and I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like, how do I tell my community about this? And then like I made some sort of video. I was like, oh guys, I found like 10 o'clock and I think it's so cool. So what do I do? Okay, I challenge all of you to like start watching 10 o'clock from the start to the end right now. And the first one, like, it's going to be a race. And the first one that gets to the last episode from like number 1 to where they are right now wins. All right, let's go. And like, I left some dumb, stupid comment like there, like, oh, let's start this challenge. And like, now I'm attracting attention to it, which I probably shouldn't. But like, yeah, like I actually did.
You probably shouldn't.
Yeah, but I actually went through all of the 10 o'clocks in 2016, summer 2016. I just downloaded all of them, just like watched all of them. Up to a point where I was like listening to it during my training camp, and like people would come in and say like, "Are you listening to the BBC?"
Oh my god. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. Let's see. Steph asks question. Will and when will the next game of Among Us be, Mr. Xeno, in your server? I want my revenge.
Not a clue. Not a clue. When I have time.
When he has time. All right, I think that those are the questions for today. Yeah.
I saw another one.
Is there another one?
Yeah. The Cephalon Tribal. If you both were animals, what animals would you be and why?
Oh, good question. I think if I say anything other than frog, my Discord will blast me.
Why?
Because my Discord has an immense love of frogs, and I actually like have a video about that coming up soon. But yeah, frogs are amazing because like they can swim and they can jump. And actually, like back in the day, actually there used to be an animal which I thought was even more amazing, which was the duck, because ducks could swim, walk, and fly. And like, what other animal can do that?
Okay.
So what's your answer?
I'd probably be like either a jaguar or a tiger. One of those two. I don't know. I just love being. I love big cats. And the great thing is like if I'm a big cat, 1, I get to sleep as much as I fucking want. 2, everyone will adore me, and 3, no one would dare fuck with me.
Actually, that is a really good idea. We should all go out and buy a Jag, like the car. Because like if anyone of you has watched like Top Gear back,
Jaguar, not Jaguar.
A Jag. If anyone has watched Top Gear, like they used to have this thing where it's like, if you have a Jag, you can get away with anything. Like Jag owners will like sit in a restaurant, like flirt outrageously with like the waitress, and then just like don't have to deal with it because they're like, oh, I'm awfully sorry. Would you mind settling this while I go warm up the Jag? Like, could you imagine? Like, this might be the way to get out of this. Like, let's say that you get banned right now. No. Listen. Let's say you get banned right now on Twitch for using music, or you get like your channel gets hit on YouTube, or you're in the PlayStation Network and you're like saying something, and then they ban your account. And like in response, you just send them a picture of the keys to your Jag, and they're like,
"Why don't you send them a picture of the Jag?"
Because then you have to go and picture the Jag. It's just like you just picture the keys because like you have them in your hands, like, and like you picture the Jag, and they're like, "Oh, accepted. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Here's your channel back." Wouldn't that be the best way of going about it? Yes, please. Everyone go buy a Jag, and it's your insurance for like doing anything bad.
don't. Right. Okay. So I think now we're out of questions.
No, there's another question. Mika asks Halloween podcast question mark with costumes and stuff.
No, because that's a Saturday.
Actually, that is a Saturday. And that's upcoming Saturday. So that would have been like this would have been our Halloween special if we would have done it.
Yeah.
Otherwise we're gonna be too late. So yeah,
Also no, because that means I actually have to like get a costume and shit. Like my
Dude,
fucking work, like what?
wear your box costume. Like the what was it? What was the box sort of thing? You mentioned in the Arbiters, like wear the boxes. You know, the boxes of all your pop figures.
Oh no, I'm not fucking ruining my not my Funko Pops. Fuck, I don't have those. No, my Nendroid. I'm not ruining my Nendroid boxes.
But yeah. Anyway, you could be the Lion of the Wizard of Oz. Easy, Treble says. That will be you. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I think that is the episode for today. Thank you so much for watching episode 59. 10 more episodes to go to episode 69. Damn, 10 weeks. That will probably be... Will that still be this year or next year? I have no idea.
Wait, episode 69, are we just not going to wear it? What do you mean this year or next year?
I don't know how many weeks we still have to go for this year.
It's next year.
Yeah,
it's next year.
Maybe if we do a 2 episode a week, we can catch up. It's like
no,
10
episodes.
episodes.
Will be this year. No.
No. Anyway, like
for 69, are we just not going to wear anything?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Sit here naked.
We're just gonna sit there. actually, then we're just gonna. We can then have chat choose on what we're gonna have on as a guest.
Oh my god.
If you have a good guest that you want to see on for episode 69, which we're gonna do naked, let us know.
We're not doing it naked. Like you're trying really hard to do this whole Twitch thing. The last thing I want is for you to get banned.
We'll do it. We'll record it. We'll record the thing and then we'll throw it. Anyway, we'll figure out when 69 gets there. Until then, thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out this amazing gentleman with his beautiful big hands, again, like my hands are super tiny compared to his. There we go. Look at that size difference. I don't even know why we got to like the big hand thing, but like that was a thing this episode. Check him out at youtube.com/CasinoGalleon or go to youtube.com/10o'clock and check out his amazing new like 365 anniversary episode where they talk about all the cringe of episode 1. It's like a creme de la creme. You get both the early episode, the first episode and the latest episode. It's beautiful. Check it out. Other than that, you can go to his patreon.com/CasinoGalleon if you want to firm some money. This episode will be live tomorrow on youtube.com/Postma Games, and it's live every single week on like Twitch.tv/Michel Postma. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you're listening to this, and yeah, we will see you around next time.
Bye.